Bitcoin Core has got us on a path that's very, very dangerous. And I keep asking, what problem does increasing the op return limit by 1,250 times solve?
Like I keep landing back on the same conclusion, like the market is sorting it out. What am I missing? Why do I not feel that existential concern?
But the concern is that then we lose the nodes and then lose decentralization.
Yes.
Okay,
Absolutely.
so it's not the specifics around what's on there, it's what are the implications of having garbage on there.
BRICS adopts Bitcoin, BRICS wins. Learn Russian. It checks all the boxes for them, man. So I don't know why they haven't. They're already settling energy contracts in Bitcoin.
So central bankers are notorious for funding the both sides of big wars. Why not this one?
Good question.
So I see a lot of drama, a lot of politicking, harsh language, but I think in the end of the day, the incentives are just going to win out. Mr. Bechler, welcome to the show.
Pleasure.
So we're going to do something different today and have you start with this monologue that you prepared, which I'm not sure what it's about, but excited to hear.
Yeah, me too, man.
Yeah, I started putting my thoughts down in my head and trying to get them together for this discussion, and started putting them on paper and thought maybe I could just kind of post these ideas and we could go from there.
Sounds good.
So I have two basic fundamental truths that I base all of my ideas about Bitcoin that I found that I can't get away from those. Those two are set in stone. It's like bedrock. So any technical debate or any sort of debates about Bitcoin in whatever form, I've tested all the ideas and my ideas against these, and I found that they hold up. And first of all, that we can define Bitcoin as money. Bitcoin is money. So I noticed Breed loves Porsche in the parking lot in the driveway. Is a Porsche, if we took a poll and we posted a picture of a Porsche and we asked 1 million people to vote in a poll with a picture of a Porsche, is a Porsche an engine? Is it fuel? Or is it a car?
Interesting. I mean, I think it's all those things.
Yep.
We're always trapped within language, aren't we?
You can only pick one.
It's a car.
It's a car.
It's whatever we agree it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, we would typically agree that it's a car.
1 million people would agree. Reasonable, intelligent individuals. No trick questions. Just pick one. Mm-hmm. What's as quick as possible? What is this right here? Mm-hmm. 1 million people would say that it's a car. A Porsche is a car. Bitcoin is money. That's what it is. That's what its purpose was from the very start. Secondary to that, just under that, is that Bitcoin will be used as money. Not that it should or that it must be used, but it will be used because if it survives, it will be used as money. Jack Dorsey has said this. Booth has said this. And it'd be nice to get away from that and just say the store value is good enough, but Bitcoin will be used as money if it survives, that it's going to be the settlement layer. And in predicting that, also, I'm wildly bullish on Bitcoin, the fiat price of Bitcoin, near term, long term. Nobody's more bullish, so I'm not fudding Bitcoin in any way when I say that if you understand these two things, that Bitcoin is money and Bitcoin will be used as money, that Bitcoin Core has got us on a path that's very, very dangerous. And minutes before we started recording, Core 30 was released, so it's in the wild. Anybody can run it right now. Release candidate 1. This is essentially Core 30.
With the 100,000 byte op return.
Correct. Mm-hmm. So I propose that they've got us on a very dangerous path. And it's been likened to death by 1,000 cuts. And I believe we're somewhere down that path. And it has to get reversed. And I think what this is this introduction of use cases of Bitcoin must be stopped. Non-monetary use cases of Bitcoin. Some have even recently said that money is just one of the use cases of Bitcoin, and that there are others. And I'm not saying that, it's hard to define core. Core is about 1,000 contributors, and there's 4, 5, 6 maintainers. So you can't just, that definition of core doesn't include all those 1,000 people, but maybe core 30 is a good representation of this path that they have us on. And what you keep seeing is what seems to be these young, naive technocrats who can't leave Bitcoin alone. They don't understand that Bitcoin is money. Some of them have admitted that they don't even have Bitcoin, so they've got no skin in the game. They're very vulnerable to incentives. Some of them are working and paid for by bad people, bad actors, and that it's pretty dangerous. And what we've seen is, how in the world did we get infected by this whole sense of weakness and capitulation to bad actors, that there's this moral relativism that there's no good or bad? How dare you define Bitcoin as money when to this other guy over here it's something else? Bitcoin should be fun again. Listen, it pays the fees. It's valid. It's a valid transaction. That's all that matters. And I think that's dangerous as well. Again, Bitcoin is money, and Bitcoin will be used as money. That's the only future for Bitcoin. Also, this whole thing that there's no good or bad in Bitcoin, and that we're not allowed to say that anything is good or bad, unless it's all about adoption and inclusion, and that we should be welcoming everyone into Bitcoin, and that how dare you leave anyone out. Also, that if we do say that Bitcoin is money, that it's perfectionism, that it's Puritanism. Lynn Alden even said it's perfectionism. Again, moral relativism, that we're not really allowed to say that it's money. Also, this passive acceptance, because, say, Bitcoin has already won. Does it really matter because Bitcoin has already won? Bitcoin is for everyone. It's not really true. Not everything is good for Bitcoin. Bitcoin is not for everybody. But that's become so mainstream that we're not really allowed to discuss and debate that. Talking about socially. Also, I think that what we've seen, especially since 2023, is just this relentless small compromises that has really put us in the position of being the boiling frog. That it's constantly, that's meaningless. It's a tiny compromise. And it almost always has to do with operating nodes as well. Listen, if you don't like it, don't run core. Don't upgrade core. That's kind of a big compromise. We should be able to run the latest major implementation of node software with patches and updates. We want security updates. We should trust that the defaults in core is good for Bitcoin. But if there's any changes to it, that it solves a problem, not introduces new use cases to Bitcoin. Also, all these little compromises add up to really big compromises. Now you can't run a node on Raspberry Pi what sets Bitcoin apart is from all the others is that any of us can run a node, and that's what is censorship resistance and permissionless. If you're running a node to use the network, to use Bitcoin as money, that's what censorship resistance is. It's not censorship to keep non-monetary transactions off of my node. No more than if you write a book, am I censoring anyone because I choose not to have your book in my library? Makes no sense. It's not censorship resistance. We've twisted these terms around to be something else. Permissionless is that I can run a node on Bitcoin cheaply. Anybody can do it. And I can broadcast and verify transactions. That's permissionless. Permissionless is not, these things are almost always used nowadays to excuse bad behavior and bad actors. Who are you to say that he shouldn't use Bitcoin in this way? You're censoring them, not censorship. It's not censorship at all what I do on my node. No more than it's not censorship that you guys have written a book and I choose whether or not I'm going to include it in my library. It's not censorship. We're redefining these things. So the new op return war that has gotten so much attention. Many people come to it and they don't understand what's going on. They don't think it's a big deal. But it's a big deal. And what we've done, and we can get into this later more in depth, but we're taking an 80 byte limit of arbitrary data being attached to transactions and blowing that filter out 1,250 times from 80 to 100,000. And I keep asking on Twitter, I'm going to keep reposting it every single day until I get an answer. What problem does increasing the op return limit by 1,250 times solve? What problem does it solve? It should solve a problem. What is that problem? So, as others have pointed out recently, increasing that by 1,250 times introduces an incredible attack vector that with 80 bytes, you can't really include that much arbitrary data that could be dangerous. With 100,000, you can start posting abhorrent material, illegal material, sensitive classified documents that the government wants taken down. It's the most obvious attack vector ever to be able to put that on the blockchain. 1,250 times. Why? So I propose that core must be rejected and the bad actors need to be exposed. Bright lights need to be shown on them, and we need to stop using their software. Now, much of what I'm saying may sound idealistic or fanciful, that, hey, bro, that sounds good, but it's not going to happen. What I want to do here is get a timestamp on it, because I think not only is it realistic, I think it will happen, because I go back to Bitcoin as money and Bitcoin will be used as money. This has to happen. And so I know for a fact that there's an investigation going on of this stuff, and it's already been started, and it's going to be interesting to see where it leads. But core must be rejected, and we have to return to Satoshi's vision of Bitcoin, and that is monetary only. So there's simple and effective solutions for doing that. Use Bitcoin as purposed. Has to happen. I wish it didn't. I wish that we could just use it as a store value, but it's got to be used as peer-to-peer electronic cash. Jeff Booth was right about that. Also, running a node, and very recently, thousands and thousands of people have begun doing that. Unfortunately, with the path that Core has led us on, that's not as easy anymore. The initial block download is parabolic. Can't run it on a Raspberry Pi anymore. You have to have dedicated software pretty much. which that's a whole other thing. But cannot possibly recommend that enough, that you're really not a Bitcoiner. You don't use Bitcoin unless you're running a node. It's not trustless, it's not permissionless unless you do that. So that has got to happen. So I would recommend to anybody to run a node except for Core 30, any other one, preferably not 29 either. A lot of this stuff has gone retroactive to 29.1. So if you're running, say, Core 25, just keep running that. I would recommend you run knots, because basically what Bitcoin knots is core plus patches, filters, and security updates, and you can just run the defaults as it is. You're not relaying arbitrary data. Again, a question on that. What is my incentive as a node runner to relay non-monetary arbitrary data? Keep asking that question too. What is the incentive to do that? Nobody's answered that yet. A lot of smart people who say you're not technical enough to understand. I keep asking them these questions, and they're not answering the questions. So also decentralization of mining. These big pools that are controlling mining, and recently, I mean, it's hard to quantify, but have two of the pools reached 51%. Now, again, that's not FUD, and I'm not an expert on that. If you've reached 51%, you're incentivized to strengthen the network, not attack it. But in the context of what we're talking about, it's very dangerous. So I think datum from Ocean is decentralizing block production. And so as our net worth in Bitcoin increases, here's another idea that people have had that each of us really needs to think about is budgeting, say, $100 a month that we're willing to lose to mine Bitcoin. Pleb miners running lottery mining on our own, pooling. But what I do is I've got one BitAxe, and I keep waiting because the technology is getting better, the value is getting better. So I'm just, and it's not easy for me down in Mexico to get stuff too, but running a BitAxe and running it on datum. So it's another drip of decentralization. I'm not losing anywhere close to $100 a month. Another really neat thing, especially in cold areas with miners now, is that you can harvest the heat from that and use that heat. Really, really neat. So you can effectively be mining at zero cost. Maybe even some say coming out on top with turning dollars into sats and heat. So I think that this requires conviction. I think it requires understanding that defining Bitcoin as money and that singleness of purpose is strength, and that we have to return to that. And the reason I think that Bitcoin will be used as money is I think that all of us in the plebs, when we see what's important, I do think that we're going to do these things, because I also think it's existential. And I think we're being led down a path where if Core 30 gets out in the wild and gets wildly adopted, then what's next, man? Honestly, because then they're going to know that, you know, they were talking about just increasing it from 80 bytes to 144 with 128 plus 16, because that's what the zero knowledge and the covenants people and all needed. How did it get from 144 to 100,000? And they pretty much admitted, Core did, that, listen, we've taken a reputational hit on this. Why should we just go incrementally up to what makes sense right now? Just blow it out. We've already taken the hit. So I think that people are going to have to understand this, and I think the plebs will, and I think as our own net worth in Bitcoin goes higher and higher, then budgeting a certain amount per month to lose in mining will be nothing. I think we're all going to have to do that. Imagine if I don't know, 1 million people were willing to lose $100 a month on mining. How could the miners compete with that? Be really, really difficult. So that's pretty much it. I think fix the money, fix the world is true. And I'm not sitting here coming in saying, hey guys, I love Bitcoin here, I'm going to fix it for you. I think what needs fixing is Bitcoin Core. And so I think it's really important. And the op return thing has been sort of a tempest in a teapot for a lot of people. A lot of people don't understand it. And there's been name calling. I haven't engaged in any of that, but there's been plenty of pretty toxic memes and that sort of stuff. But in the end, I think plebs are going to have to understand. And I think they're going to, and I think evidence of that fact is that if you look at a chart of NOT's adoption, you just Google this, NOT's adoption, it's staying down here. And then right now it's on an absolute parabola. Because as people come to understand this, and I've seen it over and over again, and if you look in the release post of Core 29.1, 99% the comments are very anti-core. Where's the support of it? So, hey man, I'm just asking simple questions. What problems does this solve? And what is my incentive to relay non-arbitrary data on my node? I don't think there's any, and I'm not going to do it. Keep your shit off my node. So that's kind of how I feel. Bitcoin is money, and Bitcoin will be used as money. I keep coming back to that.
Well, thank you for that.
There's a lot there.
Forget multivitamins and other supplements. Animal organs are the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet. You can get 100 times more nutrients from organs than you can from muscle meats. But the problem with eating organs is that they are difficult to find in stores, they are difficult to prepare, and even when they are prepared well, they often don't taste great. Thankfully, Heart and Soil Supplements has made consuming organ meats so much easier by providing powderized organs in capsule form. Organ meats include everything your body needs to thrive: vitamins, minerals, peptides, proteins, and growth factors. This is why organ meats were the most prized foods for our ancestors. Fortunately for us, Heart and Soil makes these treasured foods easily accessible. So go to heartandsoil.co today and use discount code BREEDLOVE to get started on your journey to optimal health and vitality. Again, that's heartandsoil.co, discount code BREEDLOVE. What if I told you that you could lower your tax bill and stack Bitcoin at the same time? Well, by mining Bitcoin with Blockware, you can. New guidelines from the Big Beautiful Bill allow American Bitcoin miners to write off 100% of their mining hardware investment in a single year. That's right, a 100% write-off. So if you had $100,000 of income or capital gains, you could write off that entire amount by investing it in Bitcoin mining hardware. Blockware's mining as a service allows you to start mining Bitcoin right now with minimal effort. Blockware handles everything from securing the miners to sourcing low-cost energy to configuring the mining pool. They do it all. You can stack Bitcoin at a discount every day and save big when tax season comes. So you can get started today by going to mining.blockwaresolutions.com/breedlove. Again, that's mining.blockwaresolutions.com/breedlove. I want to go back to where you were saying that a car is a car, right? You put the picture online, you say, is this a car, is this fuel, is this tires, or whatever you said it was. People will mostly say car, right? Because that's, well, what we've socially agreed upon. It's a social consensus of that. The meaning of that word is car. So isn't money the same? Money is what the market defines it to be, right?
Yep.
Okay. So I want to drill into then. You're saying defining Bitcoin as money is crucial. You know, the namesake of this show attests to the difficulties of defining that word clearly. It's almost like it doesn't eliminate very much mystery. It just sort of invites you into the mystery. You're like, okay, Bitcoin is money. And then you're like, okay, well, what is money? And then you're in the rabbit hole. What if this is a market defined thing, then what are you actually saying when you say we have to define Bitcoin as money?
Well, definitely not telling people how to use Bitcoin as money. Fund Al-Qaeda if you must, but again, keep your shit off my node. I think it's money. I'm only going to relay monetary transactions. So not in any way defining for anybody else how they want to use money. Comes back to that. Bitcoin is money. So, you know, we had another debate, and one of the, I can't remember what it was, who said it, but the reason I actually brought the car analogy up, because I don't want to mention names, but because I'm not sure in that context who said it, but somebody said, listen, before I ever said anything about the car analogy, with a car, they said Bitcoin is money first. They might have said it the other way around. Bitcoin is money first, but it's also a database or something else. And by the way, let me read to you. Is Bitcoin money, or would you say Bitcoin is a thermodynamically right protected probabilistic database? Is Bitcoin money, or is Bitcoin itself solely a coherent singular thing through the process of ideas competing in a market for adoption? Esoteric bullshit. Bitcoin is money. So listen, I can point to any car on the street. Now, I could live in that car. That's not the purpose of the car. It wouldn't be comfortable, but I can, and people do it. Now, if there's a 2007 Toyota sitting on the street because an individual is living in it, then we're going to define it as a car? Or it's a car first, but it's also a house? Oh man, it's a car. We can define this. We can do it. Bitcoin is money. So again, getting back to what I think smacks of moral relativism, that how dare you define it? Why are we not allowed to do that anymore? It's money. Does that answer the question?
Well, I'm still like wrapped around the axle on this one. And because it seems like you campaigning here for what you perceive Bitcoin to be as money is you participating in the process by which it becomes money. You're basically voting, right?
Using it, yep.
Yeah, so you're voting with your node software, right? You are choosing the language you want to speak, that is Bitcoin, basically. And it is that market process of individuals choosing which nodes to run, which node software to run. The culmination of that becomes what Bitcoin is.
Yes.
Which is just like the way money works, right? People exchange lots and lots of things, and then one thing rises to the top is like the thing that's most tradable across all the other assets, has the most asset trading pairs.
It's always been
and
that way.
Becomes money.
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm getting at is like, it feels like it's almost a tautology, like a circular reference where you're saying defining Bitcoin as money, but you're just participating in the process of making it money by making your case for it. So I'm trying to get underneath that.
Yep. So,
and maybe we're stuck in the definition of money, which we're often stuck on the show. So
also realize that I'm talking about in the context of kind of this, shall we say, node wars. So I'm also bringing that up in this context, that what we're trying to do is introduce other use cases of Bitcoin, and that is death by 1,000 cuts. If we're going to repurpose Bitcoin, actually, if a small group of individuals who I would argue are economically illiterate, some of which do not have Bitcoin, if they're going to be allowed to redefine or repurpose Bitcoin into other things to improve the technology, then how can we let that happen? How can they be allowed to redefine what Bitcoin is? If Bitcoin is repurposed before it ever achieves its purpose, its sole purpose is money, how can it survive? I don't know. It's interesting to think about.
So let's talk about that context then, because this is also something that's I'm not too keyed in on. So one of the questions I've had about this throughout is like, who arbitrates what is spam versus what is not spam? Like obviously you would choose like keep it off your node, but then isn't every other node operator equally entitled to make that decision for themselves? And we're back into that market process of, okay, well, if it's 100,000 gigabytes or whatever the number is not the right thing, well, then people will run the 80 gigabyte ketabyte KB version.
Yep.
They'll run NOTs basically, and they'll not run core.
Yep.
So if core actually is detrimental to the integrity of the protocol itself, which is, I don't know, it's utility as money and perhaps other things. Like again, that it feels like almost semantic to me at that point.
Maybe so.
It's bidding for block space.
Yep.
Ultimately. And so if the opportune limit expanding compromises the utility of that network, the selling of block space for whatever reason, for all the, there's criminal issues and these other, you said abhorrent material could be put on there, et cetera. Wouldn't the market just shift to the NOTs version and then that solves the issue? So I guess short version of the question is who arbitrates what is spam? And then in that process of arbitrating, doesn't Bitcoin sort of emerge naturally as one or the other?
Yep. So the nodes and the miners do. Here's the problem is that...
but the nodes are choosing the software, right? And the miners just enforcing the node selection.
Well, the miners are nodes as well.
Yes.
So...
But they're not, the non-mining nodes are actually selecting, they're creating the social consensus that is Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And then the miners enforce that consensus.
Yeah, and also that's why I think Datum is important, is because it's decentralizing building of blocks and handing that out instead of, I believe it's 6 nodes are building 95% of blocks. It's handing that out.
Disintermediating the mining pools.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also, let me get back to that. But another thought I just had is that there's also a narrative that, listen, that's the way it is. It's been that way since 2013. There's nothing you can do about it. It's not true. Last week, we had someone with hash power, I think at, was it 10? Who created a 100% spam-free block using Datum at Ocean. So we're not powerless. Decentralization is the answer to that. Here's the problem, though, is that most people just don't understand this problem. And see, another narrative that Core keeps pushing, and by Core I mean like everybody. And I've put Core with a trademark symbol that kind of means like, and I've also said like the core industrial complex. So I'm not talking about just developers or contributors or maintainers. Like Core and their supporters have said that, listen, shut up and just run NOTs, or shut up and don't upgrade. That's not a solution at all. That's a compromise is what that is.
Why is shut up and run NOTs not a solution?
Because nobody's going to do it. Until people understand.
Why is nobody going to do it if it's in their self-interest to do so?
Historically, 95% of node runners have just updated Core. That's what they do.
Not during the block size wars of 17.
And not right now. Yeah, because people are beginning to understand, and that's why you see NOTs right now at about 20%.
That's why I'm back to the market's sorting it out.
Yep.
Like I keep landing back on the same conclusion. Like the market is sorting it out. So I just feel like there's a lot of fear, uncertainty, doubt, and all, and maybe that's a natural part of this campaigning, debating process about what Bitcoin is or should be. But it does seem like the incentive structures and market processes that are in place are actually doing what they always do, which is sort the shit out.
Yep.
So therefore I don't feel any concern at all.
Okay.
Up until this point. But you seem to be like, there's existential concern here. So like, I'm trying to, what am I missing? Why do I not feel that existential concern? Because
if Core is allowed to shove in whatever they want, they don't have to tell us why. They don't have to answer any questions about it. If we accept that in 30, what comes in 31? We're on a path of 1,000 cuts here is what I'm saying. I don't know where we are on it. Mm-hmm. But I also want to be clear, I'm not sowing FUD, because I do believe that we're going to come around and Bitcoin will survive. And listen, that's another thing, that this is our only chance. There won't be another. There can be better technology, and maybe it already exists. I'm not going to mention any of the other blockchains, but they claim to have better technology. And if you listen to their pitch, maybe they do. Doesn't matter.
No, it won't matter.
It doesn't matter. You're never going to reproduce.
It's the path dependence.
That's right. It's the network effect. If this fails, we're not going to pick up the pieces and say, hey, let's try it again, but let's fix this and let's fix that. So, and that's why a hard fork won't work either. So if anybody proposes that, I'm out.
So currently, even with knots, you can still put data onto the blockchain. So it's both a database and money. So it's like the car is both a car, but could be a house as well.
Well, you have to understand there's also ways, and that's a whole other part of this, is that there's ways of putting the data on Bitcoin.
With the 80 byte op return.
Yes. The purpose of the 80 byte op return is basically like a check. Breedlove's probably not old enough to remember checks, but you're old enough to remember.
I'm old enough. I've signed a lot of checks in my day, actually. Yeah.
But that was like, for lack of a better term, it's like the memo line on a check that you could append something to that. It had a purpose in that you could also put a hash up to 80 bytes of arbitrary data on a monetary transaction. And the purpose of that was to keep it out of the UTXO set. So it's provably unspendable. It's never going to make it into this, shall we say, the live database of unspent transactions. So, and see, that's another thing that everyone will, I actually had one person respond, I've got the answer to your question. The problem it solves is UTXO bloat. It does not solve that problem at all. Not even close. And someone else said that the 80 byte op return is like, you've got a bunch of people littering in Central Park. So you put a trash can, you encourage them to litter there. No, we don't have to do that. We don't have to capitulate to spammers. We don't have to do that. And another thing, it makes absolutely no sense to blow out this filter that is, in August, the 80 byte op return limit was respected by 99.93% of transactions. The filter is effective. It works. That would be like me coming to your house and you installed a deadbolt on your house on January 3rd, 2009. It's been 100% effective at keeping bad actors out of your house. But I look around and I see a window on the first floor and I say, bro, they could just go around and get in through the window if they're determined enough. A bad actor could still get in. So not only open the window, but remove the deadbolt on your door. You don't have to do that.
I saw Jimmy Song talking about that just the other day. Yeah.
Did he say that?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Yep.
Can we go back to spam? So I'm still hung up here. Who arbitrates what is spam, what is not? Maybe the precise question would be, you said Datum produced a spam-free block, I think is what you said.
A miner did.
A miner produced a spam-free block. Like, who designated that thing as spam-free? Is this like your opinion? Is it their opinion? Like, what constitutes spam? Because it seems like spam is a subjective value judgment.
Yep.
One man's junk is another man's treasure, as they say. So what is spam?
So he was, pardon me if I get some part of this wrong, he was relaying no arbitrary data. His data carrier size equals 0 was in effect on his node. So he relayed no arbitrary data at all onto the blockchain.
So it's pure transactional data.
Yep.
Nothing.
So the check analogy, nothing in the memo box.
Right.
Not a single thing.
Nothing. So if you look at that, I believe it would be green. The block would be, if you look on, an Explorer, it was all monetary transactions.
Is that extreme? Is that the pendulum swinging too far the other way in this debate? Because, I mean, Satoshi inscribed something on the Genesis block.
No.
Around the chance of bailout. Or on the,
That was completely different because it's actually hard coded. So that's never relayed. That's not in the UTXO set, nothing like that. Completely different.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there's a blurriness here because that field, if I'm using the check as the metaphor, that memo field can carry valuable information, right? Oftentimes you write the invoice number or the contract tranche or whatever it was, the purpose of the payment. Yep. So although that might not be pertinent to transmitting the transaction itself on the Bitcoin blockchain, it can be pertinent to the parties that are transacting.
It could be valid for the monetary transaction. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yes.
So it's like, even though it's non-essential data or whatever you want to call it, it's still relevant to the financial. It's still financial information, basically.
Yeah. You could still settle the transaction without it.
Yeah.
Another purpose of it is that you can, and 40 was fine forever. I think in 2013, 14 doubled to 80. Again, now why are we going 1250x on that? But also you could include a hash that's basically a timestamp. It says at this point in time, this right here existed, and you can prove it.
Which is useful.
Yes.
Yeah. So what is spam?
Any arbitrary data in a non-monetary transaction.
But so if I write the invoice number on the check that I'm writing to pay that invoice, is that spam?
That would be valid. No.
And that's valid because the recipient of the check finds it to be valid?
Yep.
So it's still the person receiving the payment, running the node, that's choosing what's valid and what's not. So spam is a subjective value judgment of each actor?
Not if you believe Bitcoin is money. That's why I come
Now
back
we're back to the thing where money is the voting process.
to my rigid
I thought
dogma.
we're doing the circle again.
Yep.
Okay.
I think that if Bitcoin survives, it survives because we're using it as money. So, and listen, there's this whole other thing about who are you to say that you paid the fee, it's valid. Well, if you get junk mail in the mailbox, that's not fundamentally changing because they paid a stamp or they paid postage. Still junk mail. You still don't want it. So
yeah, and we have junk mail. Like, that's a thing, right?
Yep.
So isn't this just going to be a thing on Bitcoin?
No, we can stop it. We're not powerless.
And so NOTS has an 83-byte op return because it's 3 bytes of code.
Yeah, it would be 83 total.
So is the counter argument to what Core is trying to do just no op return? No
Essentially,
arbitrary
it's
data
no op
alter-
return. It's limitless. Yep.
But with an 83-byte op return, you can still put some arbitrary data on there.
There's been I haven't heard anybody complaining about that or moving that we bring that back down. There's been.
Said, what problem does it solve?
Yeah.
What? Yep. Okay. So I have to ask you what money is. I mean, that's what we've come to. It's like, well, we've run the circle. It is, we want Bitcoin to succeed. We have to use it as money. Well, then we need to define what money is. Is it more than just this selection process where people are choosing what is money for them, and then the consensus of that selection process is money? What else is it?
I'm completely unprepared to answer that as far as like having a profound answer. I know what it's been throughout history, and so my answer would be really, really
pretty
simple.
Central to your argument, though.
Yep.
Don't you have to have a definition of money to put forth the argument you're putting forth?
Well, it's more than one thing because we have store of value, and also that if you and I come together and we want to exchange money, we've stored our value in this money that we also agree upon its worth,
but that could be a JPEG of the Bitcoin logo that an individual pays 10 Bitcoin for, inscribed into one SAT transaction. Both parties could agree that JPEG is money. So it's definitely subjective.
Yeah, but you don't have to inscribe it on Bitcoin. You don't have to put it in the UTXO set. You don't have to put it on the blockchain, and I don't have to relay it. That doesn't have to be on Bitcoin. Listen, if they want to do that, that's fine. Go on Ethereum and Solana. It works great for that. If you're looking for a database, Oracle is fabulous. It doesn't need to be on Bitcoin. So we can put it on there and still trade Bitcoin because we like it. We've decided it's worth that.
Let me ask you a question, because this has me more concerned than I have been in my entire Bitcoin journey. And I discovered Bitcoin in 2017. By 2019, I was pretty obsessed. I forgot my question. It'll come back to me.
I know the feeling.
Yeah.
I know. It's like right there, and then you look over here at this.
I know, yes.
And it's gone. That's why I've got notes, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I know I'm feeling it too.
the voting Is there any other action you want people to take other than voting with the node software that they run of what Bitcoin should be? You're basically advocating for people running knots.
Running a node
Would be the action item. Everything you had to say so far is like could be compressed into the action item of run knots.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. I would say it's if you're going to use Bitcoin, you need to be running a node to make it permissionless and censorship resistant for you.
I'm sorry. When I say running knots, I assume that meant on a node. Is that not correct?
Well, knots is an implementation of a node, a Bitcoin node.
Yes.
So,
okay. So running knots on a node, to be more specific, that's what you're advocating for people to do.
Well, the node isn't just hardware. That is the software as well.
Yes.
So you've got core. What knots is basically core software with some patches, some defaults are different and updates. Mm-hmm. So I would say run a node. Mm-hmm. I mean, irrespective of this is that it's only permissionless if you're running a node. So what I would suggest again is nothing new here.
Yeah.
We need to be using Bitcoin as money because that's what it is. That's how it will survive. That is what will solve this problem, using Bitcoin as money, using it permissionlessly with a node. And also that we really need to start thinking as individuals about solo mining and that it's a lot of fun and it teaches you a lot. You're providing a drip of decentralization as well to the network. It's really, really important. It's another node you can put way out there on the edge and that it's actually to our benefit that we're doing that. We're securing the network. Now you might have people scoff and say that's absolutely absurd that your little drip is a drip in the ocean. But come on, I mean, we have to draw the line in the sand somewhere and start fighting for this. And it's a very small sacrifice to get a little device, especially in cold places, where you can the technology and the value of these miners and nodes is just getting better and better. A couple of years ago, I bought a BitAxe for $250. I think I can mining like 600 gigahash, and now it's doubled that for half the price. Getting better all the time. So, and also there's some people doing really neat things with heat exchange in houses for air conditioning and heating. There's a guy in Canada who's doing that. So really, really neat things going on with mining. So no, man, I'm not fudding anything, and I'm like super bullish on also really neat things that are going on in mining that's trapping resources that would go to waste, and now it's being used to mine.
So to try to like put a point on it though, like your perspective is that if everyone that runs a node would run knots, that this problem would be resolved.
Yes, it would.
Okay.
And it's not even a problem if Core just backs off on this particular issue that we're talking about.
Okay.
That to say that there's no consensus for it, there's virtually zero support. And if you ask the people who give lip service to blowing out the op return limit, why? Mm-hmm. What problem does it solve? You can't get an answer.
Okay, so I remember my question. My concern, the only times I have concern about Bitcoin is just basically based on don't mess this up. We don't want to lose the decentralization. If this thing stays decentralized and secure, like Booth says, it should change a lot of things in our world.
Yep.
And so that's the concern around blowing the op return out, that we lose decentralization. If we can add arbitrary data that could be considered spam to some and not to others, but maintain that decentralization, do you care? Because I kind of don't. My attitude is I just want this thing to succeed, however that is, whether that's with JPEGs or not with JPEGs or whatever. I honestly, personally don't care as long as we can fix the money and fix the world. That's the overall mission. So I think generally, and at least personally, I feel this, the concern is that we lose decentralization and we lose this opportunity.
Yep, that's exactly how I feel, and that's why I'm opposed to it. Bitcoin survives and thrives based the base layer of it is the nodes. I don't care what anybody says. They'll call you a Puritan for saying that, or you're idealistic, and that's nonsense. It's not nonsense at all.
So this isn't let's keep arbitrary data off the blockchain. This is more so let's not mess this up.
Yeah. And if we're going to increase that limit, and that's a whole other thing that I'm not at all qualified and I'm ambivalent on, is the smart Ethereum style smart contracts, which in 2014 is what Core was absolutely opposed to that and shoved all these people off into Ethereum where they should be. If you want that, go do it over there. We're talking about doing that now with CTV and smart contracts and ZK rollups and proofs and all that. That's a whole other thing. I don't know. You listen to their spiel and it sounds really, really interesting that we can do really neat things on Bitcoin with that technology, not changing the base layer and very little arbitrary data on the blockchain. I don't know about that.
What about the argument that creating additional demand for block space is just going to put more pressure on the incentives to scale layer 2 plus?
Good question. I think about that a lot.
Does that also seem to be a release valve for all of this? Like, okay, well, they're selling whatever. The block space is being used for all these non-monetary use cases. Okay, great. That's creating more pricing pressure on layer 2. So then more development is occurring on layer 2, more innovation, et cetera. Is that not a positive externality of this whole situation?
I'm not sure. You got to remember, from my standpoint, man, I'm like a fundamentalist. So I think the settlement layer is one. Mm-hmm. I think we have to get that right. So I don't know.
Well, if the base layer loses its decentralization, then you don't have a decentralized L2. So the security of the base layer is the most important thing. Which and once again, I just want to drive this home. As long as it stays decentralized and we don't lose this opportunity, who gives a shit what's on there, right?
No, because it's a tax on nodes. It's still a tax.
But the concern is that then we lose the nodes and then lose decentralization.
Yes.
Okay, absolutely. So it's not the specifics around what's on there. It's what are the implications of having garbage on there.
Yeah, the point of decentralization is censorship resistance. That's what keeps Bitcoin immortal, basically. Mm-hmm. Bitcoin custody is evolving. Onramp is pioneering a new model, multi-institution custody, which eliminates single points of failure and adds fault tolerance to your setup. With Onramp's multi-institution custody, your funds are auditable on-chain, cannot be rehypothecated, and can only be moved with your explicit direction. Multi-institution custody simplifies private key management, providing unparalleled peace of mind for you and your loved ones. Onramp also helps you seamlessly tap into financial services like trading, inheritance, loans, and more, all without compromising on accessibility. So schedule a consultation with the Onramp team today to learn more at onrampbitcoin.com/breedlove. Again, that's onrampbitcoin.com/breedlove. One of my highest health priorities is keeping my brain in top shape. To take care of my brain power, I do many things, such as striving to read, write, exercise, and meditate daily. One of the latest tools in my brain power toolkit is MindLab Pro. MindLab Pro is a nootropic supplement that is scientifically proven to enhance your brain power. When I take MindLab Pro, my mind feels like it has a better grip on the world, my thinking is more lucid, and the articulation of my speech is radically improved. MindLab Pro has been tested in rigorous, double-blind, placebo-controlled human trials and has been proven to enhance brain power for users in every age group. MindLab Pro is an advanced formulation of 11 nootropic ingredients and is backed by research from over 1,400 human trials conducted over the past 32 years. So if you're looking to enhance your brain power, MindLab Pro is an excellent solution. Go to mindlabpro.com/breedlove to start enhancing your brain power today. Again, that's mindlabpro.com/breedlove. Buy into the Knots argument. We have to be buying into something that Core is doing that is compromising decentralization. And you're saying this op return thing is that.
Absolutely.
Full stop.
Yep.
And now let's go into that. Substantively, what is that? So you expand this op return thing. Let's say it's worst case scenario. Core wins the social consensus. We've got this 1,000 byte op return. People are putting all kinds of non-monetary, even abhorrent stuff on the blockchain, you know, whatever it is, murders, child porn, like all the awful shit. And then the government's like, okay, fuck this. We need to take this thing down.
That's my concern.
Yep.
But only if it's not decentralized could the government do anything. So where was the decentralization compromised in that worst case scenario?
People, I think, would self-censor. Like if I had that, you know, like say it was your node updated automatically, and then now there's a bunch of data on that node that is illegal to host, I'd unplug that fucker and take it to the dump.
But wouldn't you just run knots at that point? Wouldn't you just say, fuck this shit, I'm going to knots?
Or you wouldn't run anything. Imagine if you're in England.
Well, assuming you're a Bitcoin holder, you'd run something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You would just vote with a node software. So I'm back to the voting process that we're engaged in.
Most people wouldn't do it. And if,
why is it friction? I mean, I'm curious who the 80% that are running Core are. They're just people running nodes that are unaware.
That's what everybody does. People take the default.
Buy an Umbrel, buy a Start9, plug it in, download it, press click, move forward.
And by the way, Start9 is doing really neat things, plug and play knots node. So there's really neat products out there. If you want, you know, I would run it on every single computer that I need a node on. It's that simple. You can do it really, really quick. But also, for anyone listening, if you want a literal plug and play device, I would look at Start9. I've heard nothing but good things about that. Plug it in. But imagine you're in the UK and we're on 30 or 31, and it's been proven that you're relaying abhorrent material. The attack vector has been opened up and it's been exploited. Man, you are unplugging that thing as fast as you can.
Or running different software.
Yep. That's what
those are both like, I mean, maybe it's slightly easier to just unplug it, but it's not that much harder to just be like, oh, this software's fucked. I don't want this on my node. Now I see what the knots people were talking about. Let me run that.
Yes. And that's two parts as well, is that even if you're running knots, it's still gotten onto the blockchain because enough people have relayed it. So if on my node, I'm not relaying it. So the government, I mean, at the very least, I'm doing it based on ideological and technical reasons. But if you want to get moral about it, if the government comes after you, I never relayed any of it, man. But it's going to make it on the blockchain. And if this is 30, what is 31?
I guess that's what I'm back to that same point. It's like if the pain is acute enough, there's actually a problem being created by this expansion of the op return, then node operators will move.
And
the pain is what moves you into a new formation. So Bitcoin will move into a new formation, and then Bitcoin will be Bitcoin knots.
Yep.
But knots, you could run a knots node, and a Core 30 node could have put bad stuff on there, and your knots node will now house it. So you can't go back and you can't
off. How could it get on there if it's more than 80 bytes?
Because consensus.
Because enough people are still running Core 30.
That's right.
So the Core 30 op return blowout could hurt one's ability to run a knots node.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
Why would a hard fork not resolve this? You said a hard fork.
Who's going to support it?
Well, presumably everyone that's hurt.
I don't think anybody's going to. I mean, you're just going to be another Satoshi vision. I mean, you mean a soft fork or hard fork?
No, I just thought you were saying hard fork earlier, like was not even an option.
I'm not going to support it.
Well, if you have the consensus, then there might not be any other option.
Yeah. I think the whole problem goes away if Core does not include this in 30, but it's out. They didn't back down.
You said there's an investigation going on. Who's investigating who?
I think that I mean, I can give you a 10-page report right now of just what's happened with anybody who wants to read it is welcome to read it. But basically what started several months ago and led us to now, and man, talk about shenanigans. Talk about censorship, literal censorship of anyone opposed to this and who asked questions. And so listen, man, you know, I'm not in a position right now to say who are bad actors. I know there's been some bad acting. But hey, listen, at the very least, don't you have to ask, like, how in the hell has Peter Todd got access, the access to Bitcoin that he does? How can we possibly be allowing this, man? This guy is talking about introducing inflation to Bitcoin. The guy has admitted he's got no Bitcoin. He's asking for the mass murder of all Russians. Like, what in the hell is this guy doing adjacent to Bitcoin? I mean, the guy's been paid to open up PRs, like.
And so what nefarious actors do you think, I mean, we could speculate a little bit, are behind this? Is this like a nation state 3-letter agency attack on Bitcoin potentially? I mean, I'm seeing that argument from both sides.
I don't know. I don't know. I have not. Listen, that seems so obvious that I mean, who would deny it? But I have no evidence of it. And listen, again, I want to go back to, I'm not saying that Bitcoin developers, core developers and contributors and maintainers as individuals are bad actors and that they're all colluding together.
It's like government employees. Most of them mean well. They're just trying to live their lives.
Yes. I think they mean well, and kind of, you know, a couple have come forward as kind of the face and defense of this thing. And I'm not even saying that they're bad actors. What I think is the case is I think they're young and naive. I think they're economically illiterate. I think they are not willing to define Bitcoin as money. They don't understand that. They're technocrats. They think that we've got this software, this technology. The technology is the answer, and I can fix it. That's how those people operate. Not necessarily mean they're bad people. I would be happy to meet these people and have a beer and a conversation. It'd be interesting. I don't hate anybody, nothing like that. I'm not calling anybody out as bad actors. Peter Todd, maybe I think should be called out. I mean, for what, just face value. But no, I'm not going to sit here. And I don't think anybody is going to tell you that they're out to ruin Bitcoin or I have no evidence of individuals being incentivized to do that. And I think a lot of these people believe in their products and they're excited about it and they mean well. I do. I honestly, you know, there's no evidence to think otherwise, except for a few individuals. And, you know, I'll name another one. Why in the hell is Jameson Lopp hanging around Bitcoin? This guy is a VC shitcoiner. What the hell is he doing? Why do we give this guy such access to Bitcoin and such respectability when there is none? It's a total and complete lack of respectability, complete thumbing of his nose at everything that Bitcoin stands for. He thinks it's a joke, loves taking pictures with all the ordinals guys and flipping off Bitcoin. Why is this guy still in the middle of everything? I don't get it.
But would that matter if the implications of such things didn't threaten Bitcoin's success? Like if we knew it was going to succeed, would everybody just kind of like pack up and go home and sleep well? Like, all right, fuck it. You want to put a dick pic or a monkey on, you want to sell a fucking photo of whatever to some dummies? Like, go ahead, fine. We have this inviolable protocol, do whatever you want. But the concern is that we just mess up this opportunity, right?
Yeah.
Like, so all of this debate and this contentious issue stems around messing up this opportunity.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We've got one shot at it. And again, I think so many of these Bitcoin tropes that I totally accepted as true. And the problem is they're not true. Bitcoin has not already won. They have not begun to fight. I mean, the obvious attack vectors of those in power with a monopoly on violence against Bitcoin, they have not begun to fight. We got a long way to go, man. We're so early. And just handing control over to this little cabal of these weird ass people who think they get to decide. And that's so dangerous that Bitcoin has already won. So, hey, man, I don't understand all that stuff. I'm not going to do anything about it. I think is really, really dangerous. I think we should act now.
Where are you at with the Bitcoin is already one thing? Because I feel like the powers that be that are threatened by Bitcoin also have the opportunity to benefit from Bitcoin. So it's that game theory. And so in that sense, I just have an intuitive feeling. It's a faith. It's religious. Like, this is an ideology. This is a religion for me. Like, I just believe it's going to win. It has to, And if it doesn't, I guess we pack up and we just move forward with life.
We wouldn't be sitting here talking right now if we didn't, right? If we didn't think it was going to win, why would we go to the point of sitting here talking about it?
Yeah. What do you think about Bitcoin's inevitability, Robert?
I don't like the word inevitable, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But, like all things in life and business, it's probabilistic. You're just choosing what outcomes you think are going to occur and then placing your chips accordingly. I think Bitcoin just has an overwhelmingly strong case, right? It's like, and so I feel like you're betting on mathematics, thermodynamics, self-preservation, self-interest. You're betting too that markets solve these types of issues, right? I don't subscribe to market failure, for instance. And I think Bitcoin is probably the most perfect market phenomenon we've ever had, right? It's very pure, it's very digital, it's very informational. You're still going to have this tribalism, these debates, whatever, but that's part of the market process working itself out. That is it, basically.
And it's healthy and beneficial.
Yeah, it's necessary. It's what it is, right? It's like, we always talk about opponent processing. It's like, well, that's what you have. It's a bunch of ideas smashing together, a bunch of debate, and then a bunch of nodes choosing which ones work for them.
And you don't have that in the shit coins. This is not a problem over there.
Well, it's asymmetric in the shit coins because of all, informational asymmetry, pre-mines, blah, blah, blah. It's like, they're not market phenomenon. They're more like, what are they? Well, they're pump and dumps, right? You're exploiting people. Yeah. So inevitable is not a word that I like, but I do think that markets sort these things out very effectively. And then the open question is, well, how effectively can existing power structures intervene and manipulate market dynamics into their own favor? I don't think very favorably. Like, one of the things I've talked about is, Bitcoin, it solved the Byzantine generals problem, which is a long unsolved problem in computer science. How do you propagate a message across a network of antagonistic actors in a way that the message comes out the other side the way that it went in, right, with high fidelity? So how do you get antagonistic actors to pass along messages trustfully, basically? And Bitcoin solved that problem. We have that. It seems like if legacy power structures were going to stop Bitcoin, they too would have to solve their own Byzantine generals problem. You need all these antagonistic nation states to cooperate permanently when there's giant incentives to defect. And that would be the only thing that could actually pose a threat to Bitcoin existentially, in my opinion.
To the network.
But then the paradox of that is, well, the only solution to the Byzantine generals problem is Bitcoin. So you end up just defecting and buying Bitcoin, even as a nation state.
Yeah.
Even if this thing is an existential threat to your geopolitical power, your central bank, whatever. It's like, well, fuck it. It's a very low. All I got to do is print this infinite shitcoin over here and buy this finite hard money here. And so it's a very low downside, high upside proposition that basically all individuals adopt.
Yeah, I love that.
So it's not inevitable, but it's like, if you follow the incentives and you follow the math, well, then you lead into this strange attractor of Bitcoin.
Yep.
And so that's why even in this situation, I'm like, yeah, it's just going to work out. I don't know, man. I'm just like the naive, optimist, idealist guy. But I'm like, yeah, this is just the market process. This sounds like Block Size Wars 2017. And there is legitimate contention. You do need people like yourself, I think, to advocate for the path forward that you see to be most righteous for Bitcoin. I'm not trying to take any of that away from you. Yeah. But as just a Bitcoin holder and an evangelist, I don't feel any existential threat.
Okay. Yeah, and also another disclaimer is I'm a poor spokesman. I'm just kind of here talking about it. I don't represent anybody. There's so many other people who could do a better job, but I just happen to be the one sitting here. So I'm not setting myself up as some spokesman for anything or representative of anybody. I'm not tied to anybody, man. I sit at home and I'm allowed to do, I'm in a position I can do whatever I want to for the rest of my life. So I read a lot of books, I learn things. And unfortunately, I don't recommend it to anybody, but I've gone down this rabbit hole and it's been like, an Antonopoulos fugue state that I've just been watching this and have been so fascinated by the whole thing. But it's boring stuff. I mean, for most people, and your time is better spent elsewhere.
Has he commented on it?
Antonopoulos?
Yeah.
I think he, from what I understand, he doesn't really have any interest in Bitcoin anymore.
Yeah.
So
He moved
Really?
on.
no, I think he's full shitcoin, for lack of a better term, just looking, at that technology. But something else, if the three of us right now were to gain 51% control of the network, and maybe we're not even a good example, three bad actors gain 51% of the network, what would their incentive be? They now technically control, I know it's not that simple, but they control 51% of the hash power. What are their incentives? To ruin Bitcoin? You now own most of it. You're incentivized to strengthen it.
Yeah. This is something Satoshi highlighted in the white paper.
Yeah. It's absolutely fascinating. So then your point, if you own 51% of the network, if the three of us did, and we see other guys over there who own 20%, we're trying to get them to build up there. I mean, we're incentivized to strengthen the network.
I think the only counter argument there is that if you really believe in good and evil, that evil destroys everything, even itself. So if there was actual evil arrayed against Bitcoin, it wouldn't care about its incentives.
Okay.
It would just be utter destruction.
Yeah.
And so does that exist in the world? Maybe.
Seems like it.
Hang out in the Bitcoin rabbit hole long enough, you'll start to believe in it.
Yeah.
And so then you're back to like this thing is like, well, does it compromise Bitcoin's decentralization? If so, then it makes it vulnerable to evil.
Absolutely.
So how does it do? Can you like walk someone through this mechanically? Like how would Bitcoin's decentralization be compromised in a worst case or bad case scenario of core continuing down its path?
It's at the lowest level, I would say, that I see is that it's a massive tax on nodes. So we need nodes operating, spreading out, decentralizing the network. I don't care what anybody says about that. They'll call you a Puritan and a this and that for believing that. And, they'll also, that whole side has got such an aversion to sovereign node usage, and they just poo-poo the whole thing. That it's what a joke. Your node isn't doing anything. Such a message of that. But then, kind of the other side, the anti-spam side, if you ask them what should I start doing, they'd be like, you need to run a node. Running a node is really, really important. And so that seems to be the central issue.
Okay.
And I believe this is a tax on nodes in a few different ways. First of all, I don't care what...
You're saying attack, like not a tax. You're saying attack.
Both.
Oh, both.
Yeah.
Both. Okay.
A tax.
And a tax.
And a tax.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't even hear that. Yes. Essentially, it's an attack on nodes.
Nice play on words.
Yeah.
And that's by the blockchain being much larger, in decreasing one's ability to easily run the nodes.
That's
so you're going to
right.
need more expensive hardware.
Yep.
And then also the potential for particular jurisdictions globally to be like, hey, it's illegal to run this node
Those
because there's
two
bad
basic
stuff
things.
on the chain.
It's just been a series of compromises, tiny little compromises. Listen, 40 to 80, what's the big deal? Listen, the initial block download has gone from this long. We see it's like takes this long to sync. And then in February 23, it goes, whoosh. Just like the what the fuck happened in 1971. What the fuck happened in February 2023? You know how we can quantify all these measures of the quality of life in the United States, and from 1971 it goes, all these things just blow off? With the official abandonment of the gold standard and all that, it kind of happened before that. But we can do the same exact thing with what the fuck happened in February of 23. And that's when really ordinals began exploiting SegWit and the SegWit discount. So it's been a whole series of seemingly small compromises. And every time you bring one of these up, inevitably somebody says, bro, that means nothing. Like, that is the tiniest of compromises. They've all added up to this big compromise where you can't run it on a Raspberry Pi. listen, storage is getting so much cheaper. It's only, instead of 1, it's going to be 2, and then 2, it's going to be 4. But listen, it's a small compromise. Unless you can't run the latest version of our software because you ideologically disagree with what it's doing. That's another little small compromise. Just run your own. Listen, accept the default. It's all compromises, man. It shouldn't be that way. So yes, it becomes much more difficult to run a node. And then you're in an authoritarian state, which tell me a place that isn't one right now. And they come along and saying, we're going to give you a warning right now that in the next 30 days, you need to unplug these nodes because you're relaying classified information, abhorrent, illegal material. You've got a window here of 30 days. Unplug them after that.
So would that destroy Bitcoin, or would it just kick the can down the road? Because you would have a lot of people around the world that are still going to run the nodes. Mm-hmm. So you could theoretically lose a large percentage of the nodes. But I think of the sailor analogy, like to kill Bitcoin, it would be like trying to eliminate or eradicate algae from planet Earth.
It'd be virtually impossible.
You'd have to kill every single cell at the exact same time. You'd have to destroy every single node at the exact same time. Mm-hmm. So are we not concerned that Bitcoin is going to be destroyed, more so that it's going to prolong the positive implications of it?
That's exactly what it is.
You have the United States government says, you fucking plebs are idiots. We're going to take over. You can't run these nodes because you got filth on it. You couldn't sort it out yourself. It's illegal to run the nodes. BlackRock, Amazon, they're going to run it. And then the freedom implications of Bitcoin are going to take a lot longer
That's exactly what it is.
Hit our civilization.
Nobody's sitting here saying that Bitcoin is going to die or that your Bitcoin is going to be worth any less money. It's only going to go up. That's mathematically programmed. It's just going to take much, much longer. Much longer. And also imagine you have been relaying abhorrent classified information. It's a fact. You have, and it's on your computer. They come along and say, listen, guys, we're not the bad guys here. We want to stop this stuff. You disagree with child porn as well, don't you? So you don't want to be relaying it. It's all over Bitcoin. Stop relaying that stuff. Let other people do that. You just stop it. And by the way, the Bitcoin is illegal as well, but we're going to give you much more for it in dollar terms than the market will pay right now.
You could have some IBIT.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what do you want to do?
So this is a 6102 potential attack
there you
vector.
Go. Yep. But
the game theory plays out, though, if the United States government does that, then it gives the opportunity for Russia or Iran or anybody else on a macro level that is in conflict with the United States or there's tension to do the opposite, and that would put us at a game theoretic economic disadvantage.
That's the most likely. BRICS adopts Bitcoin. BRICS wins. Learn Russian. It checks all the boxes for them, man. So I don't know why they haven't. They're already settling energy contracts in Bitcoin. If you're BRICS, adopt Bitcoin today, you win.
What are you thinking over there?
No, you're right. No, I think he's right. Long term, I think it dissolves nation states. Like all these power structures that we think are indivisible will quickly prove to be divisible in a Bitcoin world. But short run, yes, I agree. Whoever adopts Bitcoin first will win. And BRIC countries have already talked about doing the gold-backed currency. So they just haven't, their Overton window hasn't shifted far enough to understand that Bitcoin is better than gold-backed currency.
They haven't discovered Safedin yet.
They haven't read the Bitcoin.
It's about 150 pages and boom, you're no going back.
Yeah, it takes collectives longer, right, to absorb these ideas than it does individuals. That's why you just have all these highly disagreeable autodidact Bitcoiners figuring it out first.
That's me right there.
But for a nation state, it's going to take decades longer.
So I think about the current administration in the States and like Lowry, for example. He's quiet. He's in there somewhere talking with people. The game theory is real. In the United States, or any first mover has a huge advantage. And as much as we like to shit on Trump and the whole administration or the government in general, I believe that there are people within the administration who understand exactly what's going on.
Yeah, I do too.
Which makes me feel better about the success of Bitcoin and the rate in which it proliferates.
Yes, but there's a big, big problem. How are you going to get support for that? So what Cynthia Lummis proposed on paper looks great. Let's print a bunch of money, let's buy 1 million Bitcoin. And actually the numbers don't add up to what she says. And she doesn't even understand. She's talking about the Fed doing this instead of the Treasury anyway. How can the issuer of the global reserve currency then betray what has allowed it to control the world through coercion and violence, give that up for a better money and signal their own demise?
Well, wouldn't it just be the Treasury strategy? Hey, we're going to add this other new innovative thing to the balance sheet. And that's where I think what Saylor's done. Saylor's tune has seemed to change over the last few years. And I feel like if he's benevolent, which I believe he is, you kind of have to be quiet while you're in the Trojan horse, and like, you can't attack the dollar. It's not Bitcoin or the dollar, at least currently. It's Bitcoin and the dollar. And we're better off with Bitcoin and the dollar versus the dollar and no Bitcoin.
Well, that actually is a good example because that highlights the same ignorance I was just talking about with nation states. It's like Saylor can go on podcasts and talk about it's Bitcoin versus gold, not Bitcoin versus the dollar.
Right.
While simultaneously doing the largest speculative attack on the US dollar in the history of the human race because people are stupid, not stupid. They just don't understand what that is. They don't understand if you're borrowing fiat to buy Bitcoin, that is damaging the dollar.
Is he attacking the dollar or is he strengthening the dollar?
It's by definition a speculative attack on the US dollar.
If you have a monetary system that has to debase to stay solvent.
No, there's no way around it. It is a speculative attack on the US dollar. You're borrowing the weaker money and buying the hard money. It's Gresham's law. So it's demonetizing the dollar and monetizing Bitcoin. There's no, like, I've heard this spiel from you before. Sorry to cut you off.
No, it's okay.
It's like, look it up. Speculative attack. Look it up. It is by definition exactly what he's doing.
Above my pay grade. Just the dude. But
it's not, no, it's not that complicated actually. It's like, we talked about that rate of flow between different monies and the money that flows, that's sold less frequently will be the one that appreciates in terms of the monies that are sold more frequently.
Yep.
Right? Okay, so that's all you're doing is you're selling dollars more frequently by borrowing and spending them into existence to buy Bitcoin that you never sell. So you're lowering the frequency of Bitcoin's selling rate and increasing the frequency of dollars selling rate.
Yeah,
You're monetizing Bitcoin and demonetizing dollars. It's a speculative attack.
Gotcha.
Pretty dangerous.
Yeah.
It's not damn. It's just fucking. It's the way money works. It's like choose for yourself. But anyway, so yeah, maybe I should shut up in the Trojan horse. But everyone's gonna figure it out. It's not that complicated.
But the problem with the United States is that they have to defend the dollar to the death.
But okay, I want to push back on that though, because I think this is a matter of technological necessity, right? There was a point where the medieval church adopted the printing press. They didn't have a choice, right? The book production game was over. That, copying them by hand and controlling all the knowledge, that game was over.
Before that, you had the Inquisition though. They would burn people at the stake.
After that, you had the Inquisition.
After the printing press?
Yes, after the printing press.
You're talking about the Reformation. I'm talking about the Inquisition was before that.
Okay, well, I'll have to
Reformation
check
is after. Yeah.
Okay.
Was part of that. Yeah, was part of the printing press.
When was the Inquisition? What year?
Before the 1400s, I think it was.
Okay, well, that would be before then. This is like 1500s.
Right.
So I don't know how that enters into this, but is it not technological necessity? It's not that the Fed's going to be like, oh, well, let's buy Bitcoin because we like it. They're going to be like, well, what if we don't?
We're nowhere close to that.
The calculus, well, are we?
You have to ride it to the bitter end. I mean, that's what's giving them the power.
It's dangerous when you talk in exponents, though, because we can't say how close we are.
That's true.
How close can we say we are to a US dollar hyperinflation? Another one of those things you're not supposed to talk about, but it's like every fiat currency hyperinflates. It could happen in hours. It could happen in decades. It could happen in years. It could happen in hours. You don't know.
I agree. Yeah.
So what did Henry Ford say? If I asked people what they wanted, they would have told me faster horses. This is not fucking an opinion game. Like, oh, we're going to buy Bitcoin. Maybe if we like it, I don't know. We'll decide. We're the ones in power. It's like, no, your shit's burning to the ground.
Yep.
Like you can move some of that purchasing power of your business model that's being destroyed into the next viable monetary network for the next 1,000 years or not.
Yeah.
It's the adoption of gunpowder. You adopt it or you die.
Yep.
It's not a matter of, let's, choose. It is an existential decision.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would just say that we're not anywhere close to that is what I'm thinking in the context of, and this is another issue that I jumped on and I was completely out there alone. The meme of the knives coming at you. Like, I know it's not important, but we all look at follower count and that is like that's a metric that shows sentiment. You say something, you lose a bunch of followers, you just piss people off. I lost 10% of my follower count in, well, it was a 3-day period when I started on the strategic Bitcoin reserve as proposed by Cynthia Lemus is complete and utter bullshit. And here's why. And immediately back then, I think this was, I forget, before the election, the outrage was, you hate the why do you hate the United States and why do you hate Bitcoin? People are dumber than cows. Like, the ignorance is just absolutely astonishing. They don't listen to what you're saying at all. And I was saying that, yes, a strategic Bitcoin reserve makes sense for every single, the only one that matters is your own, by the way, but it makes sense for every single individual and entity in the world, except for the issue of the global reserve currency. The United States cannot do this, and they won't do it. They can't tip their hand that Bitcoin is better money. When have you ever seen a counterfeiter that can print as much money as they want and it's accepted, they haven't been caught, they can do as much as they want, ever stop and think, I should start backing this with gold, my counterfeit bills? They don't do that. Their money is accepted. That's
here's where I push back, because it ultimately, first of all, the United States is a front organization.
okay.
It's not controlled by the people. We're not controlled through politicians. We're not controlled through democratic process.
Okay.
We're controlled by the shareholders of central banks. When those shareholders have accumulated enough of a Bitcoin position, and you can bet your ass they are. We had Chris Sullivan on the show. A lot of people have talked about these Wall Street insiders that talk about big money guys, ancient money guys that have been accumulating Bitcoin specifically since 2017. Of course they have, right? They're in the money printing business. They have infinite dividends. Why would they not buy Bitcoin, the fastest growing asset in human history? When their position they've accumulated enough of a position, well, the incentives flip you. They flip your orientation towards it. So I agree with you to an extent. It's like, yes, the United States has the most to lose and would be the last to adopt and all of these things. But we also have this tradition of like, well, decentralization is what got the United States this far. There's a lot of smart money in the United States. There's a lot of innovation that's occurred in the United States because we've had strong private property, good rule of law, decentralized governance, broadly speaking. And so we might be the first ones to come to that intellectually, even those people in the position of power. And then you would see institutions be very favorable towards Bitcoin all of a sudden. We're probably at the beginning stages of that.
It feels like it to me. I feel like we're more there than the beginning of the and then they fight you stage.
Exactly. If you're listening to this podcast, you probably get it. You get that Bitcoin changes everything. For those of us that get it, it is important that we use a smart way to buy and hold Bitcoin. My friends at Coinbits, the oldest Bitcoin-only exchange in the United States, have recently pioneered the concept of roundups, which lets you turn your spare change into Bitcoin. Simply connect your payment cards and all your purchases will be rounded up to the nearest dollar, letting you stack sats without even thinking about it. My favorite feature is Coinbits Plus. For $10 a month, you get the best spreads on Bitcoin, which lets power users save on fees and buy even more Bitcoin. All that, plus peer-to-peer payments, target orders, price alerts, and more, means you can do almost anything you want to do with Bitcoin using Coinbits. So go to coinbits.app/breedlove to sign up today. Again, that's coinbits.app, coinbits.app/breedlove. So there's a very special place called the farm at Okefenokee. It's a 1,000-acre regenerative farm community about 45 minutes northwest of Jacksonville, Florida. The farm is a completely off-grid community. It has total food, water, and energy independence. Everything on the farm is 100% organic, and it even features wild boar and bear hunting. The farm at Okefenokee is right next to the Okefenokee National Wildlife Refuge, where you can do camping and canoeing tours. So if you're like me and you're interested in the self-sovereign lifestyle, then you can get your own lot on the farm at Okefenokee if you tell them that I sent you. Once you get a lot, you can build one of 3 custom cabin options. So if you value freedom, self-sovereignty, and living in touch with nature, then join me and my family. We have lot number 21, And we're going to be building a cabin there starting December 2025. To learn more about the farm at Okefenokee, go to okefarm.com and make sure to tell them that I sent you.
I've thought a lot about 6102. I mean, and I'm just a random dude. It doesn't make sense to me. It just doesn't make sense. It's energy inefficient.
Yep.
And then everything he just said. Why? Like, this is a solution. I tweeted something a long time ago. I get shit on a little bit for it. Mostly people seem to like it. Bitcoin's not a threat to anybody. It's a solution for everybody.
I remember you said that. Yeah, that was great
exactly.
stuff, man. You had a whole riff on that too, and walking around the plants.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's a great point. Even those owners of the institutions that it disrupts can benefit or at least break even. I mean, they have a very easy walk from a predatory system that they've profited from a long time into a system that could create a lot more abundance.
And they don't even need to give a shit about humanity. It's serving their self-interest.
Yeah, that's right.
And Bitcoin is this catalyst. Like, I think about this from time to time. It's my understanding, I'm going to botch this a little bit. Terence McKenna theorized that whatever it is, symbiotic relationships evolved from what was a parasitic relationship. The parasite realizes it needs to not kill the host. I feel like Bitcoin is a forcing function to cause parasitic entities to not kill their host. And they don't have to do it in some way where it's like, oh, okay, let's go ahead and do the right thing so that there's not homeless people.
Right.
They can, the same thing that has made the world so fucked is the same driving force that I think causes the world to adopt Bitcoin.
What's the theory about the mitochondria, right? That it was I think it was it either mitochondria or RNA. It was like used to be a separate organism, and then the cell or the DNA ate it basically, and now they're one cooperative.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, but I think of lichen. It's like the stuff that hangs from trees in like rainforests. It's both a bacteria and a fungus that live together. They can't live without each other. And then mycelium in the forest floor, it sucks exudates, sugars out of the plant's roots, but it exchanges minerals that it's decomposed and made bioavailable for those exudates. So you have this symbiotic relationship where I think it's 90% or plus of plants can't live with some sort of without a mycorrhizal fungi.
Yeah, so it turns antagonism into like, what's the word
Mutually
here?
beneficial.
Oppositional cooperation kind of thing.
Interesting, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. My whole, again, thing about strategic Bitcoin reserve was in the context of that United States Congress is not going to pass that. There's no support for that. In that context, this was in the midst of Trump campaigning and Trump showing up in Nashville, and that people honestly believe that the government was going to buy 1 million Bitcoin and pump our bags. There's zero support for it in Congress. It's got to pass Congress. You can sign whatever executive order you want, and he did. It means absolutely nothing. You've got these people going on TV pretending that they're Bitcoiners when they don't understand it, saying what the government is going to do. The government's bought fuck all. They bought not one sat.
Do you think they could be doing so privately?
Well, I mean, like, who's doing it?
But we're back into the thing of individuals versus collectives here. Like the individuals that own equity in these institutions
They're
have definitely
buying
been
it.
doing it for a while.
Yeah.
Politicians have been buying it for a while.
Yeah.
But the government itself, proper in broad daylight, has not bought.
No.
Yeah. Trump media put 2/3 of their balance sheet into, I believe it's iBit. I could be wrong about that, but he took on an indirect Bitcoin position.
I was so disillusioned there for a few months, and anytime I said anything that was true, I was losing. Like, you know, on X, you've got that graph of your followers, and it's above and beyond. You got 0, and then you got, man, I was just like doing this, and it's a indication of sentiment. And every time I said something about it, I was getting drilled, man. And now that they haven't bought, and I was proved 100% right.
No one said a thing.
No. Now I'm getting all these people. Yeah, bro, it was just me and you. I've saved them all. I've got all the bookmarks on a folder. It was me and you against the world, bro. It's like, no. I was so disillusioned. I was like, I was going to blow the account up and just walk away, because I just thought if every time a politician comes to one of our events, we're going to bend the knee to these people and give them a standing ovation. That's what I love so much about Prague when I met you guys there, was that the Europeans, just must be absolutely find this so grotesque, because even in Prague, we had Malers there and we had Saylor there. We clapped for them. I saw not even one individual get to their feet. But as far as having a politician come in there and preach to us about what they're going to do for us in Bitcoin, makes me sick to see what happens at these Bitcoin conferences when we're all on our feet cheering them on. Makes me literally ill.
Well, you know what I'm going to say about that?
Well, for me, I think, are we grading on a curve? Like, I'd rather have a scummy politician that's in support of Bitcoin to whatever degree than one that is not. So, like, I'm pro-Trump just from that perspective. He's more favorable to Bitcoin than Kamala was. So I'm not like a diehard Trump fan, but so it's that grading on a curve. There's not a better option. So, like, this is the guy, he's pro-Bitcoin. Let's put him in office. He's not going to fix everything. The goal is that he moves this thing a little further down the road.
Yeah. What would be nice is de minimis. We were able to spend Bitcoin up to a certain amount without being taxed. Like, I want that. But other than that, I think we probably all agree. I hate seeing the price of Bitcoin go up because I've got an hourly DCA. I'm getting less sats per hour.
That's the thing is, there's nothing a politician can do for Bitcoin other than get out of the way.
Get out of the way.
Like these things you're talking about, that's an interference with the market process. The fact that people get taxed every time Bitcoin moves, that's bullshit.
Yep.
None of that should exist.
Nope.
So that's what I mean. Just ideologically or on principle, I always come back to. It's like, yes, let's choose the lesser of two evils, but let's also recognize that it's still fucking evil.
Mm-hmm.
It's still taxation. It's still inflation. It's still war. It's still deception. Like, no matter which guy you pick, up to and including the RFKs of the world, right? Who's been on the show and like everyone thought he was a holy white knight. Yep. It's like, no, he's a politician.
Sure. He's a Washington politician.
It's the business they're in.
Yep.
Right? Everything the state says is a lie. Everything it has is stolen.
Everything. I'm not participating in the system.
It's a
broken.
bitter
I'm
pill.
not participating.
It's a bitter pill, but it's the truth. So like, do you want the truth or not?
Yep.
You can choose for yourself.
It's really nice to be completely have no interest in any of that stuff, but believing that one politician is good and one is bad because of which aisle they sit on. In 2025, we're still pretending.
Right.
Give me a break.
The illusion of control. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't get to Washington and are welcomed in as a free agent. You're part of the game, man, and they've got you. You're captured when you walk in. Otherwise, you don't make it there. Same thing with Hollywood.
Yeah.
And I hate both of them equally.
And then I just thought about Ron Paul. I'm like, I do like Ron Paul though. Just because he's been preaching it. I don't even know his political story at all. I don't know. I don't pay attention to politics, but I liked that he was always the guy talking about it in those places.
Yeah, agreed.
So
he brought a lot of people to Bitcoin. It seems that the really early adopters were hardcore computer scientists, people into drugs, and that could be a mix of both, and then Ron Paul fans.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, gold bugs, libertarians.
Yeah.
No.
Hey, I see you have the big print up there by Lepard, man. I'm a big fan. Have you had him on?
Yeah, he's been on several times.
Okay, yeah. Huge fan of him and that book. Because to me, that book, like, for me, if I could take one, it'd still be the Bitcoin Standard. Mm-hmm. And do you feel in a way that the Bitcoin Standard has been, like, that title has not done it justice? I think it would have gotten much more broad appeal and sold a lot more books if it had a different name.
Yeah, he's
like
put
what?
thought into that. I don't know. Not well. You're thinking about it from your book perspective.
Oh yeah,
title of the book is important.
Thinking of a hook, yeah.
Yeah. That's why I like this book, and to me, this is the new one. If I was to, I mean, you could do a university course off of Larry's book here, and I feel like it's like Lynn Alden and Dalio and the Bitcoin Standard, those three. And let's be honest, none of those are easy reading. If you ask a normie to read those books, they're not getting past the preface.
Yeah.
I tried it so many times with the Bitcoin Standard. Like, so.
I think, and it's such a great balance of rigor and accessibility, but it's still way too dense for most people.
Yeah. That's what I like about the big print. I feel like it takes all of those, including Dalio's principles, and puts it into one. And the chapters are like so digestible, and there's so much there that I think it's a great book. I think it's the new go-to. I haven't met Larry yet, but I can't wait to get that one signed.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah.
What I love about people like Larry and Jeff Booth is they are just absolute good guys.
Yeah.
You know, like through and through, you can just tell being in their presence, they have like the Buddha nature about them almost.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Larry actually is more so a good example of this, but when you get him talking about central banking, he sounds like a dirty, he's got the dirty sailor mouth all of a sudden. He's like, fuck this, fuck that, fuck these guys. Dude, and you're like, if this guy, Mr. Buddha nature over here is talking about the institution like that, then like, just imagine how bad it really is.
The first time I met another Bitcoiner in person was at Pacific Bitcoin in 2023. And I remember Larry, and he had like a group of people, I forget who he was with, but he was walking by and he's like, I'm ready to take these central banking motherfuckers down. I was like, look at this dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and I think it might be in the preface of that he was telling the story. Max Kaiser maybe told the story, but do you remember that? I think he was at Annapolis or something like that, and somebody stood up and was praising the Federal Reserve as like this bastion of integrity and what they've done for the American people, and they basically said, "Speak now or forever hold your peace." And Larry stood up and created quite a scene.
Really?
He got booed out of there. Yeah.
Got booed.
And
what was the event?
It was something around Washington, D.C. And you'll have to read it again. But yeah, they were giving basically a pep rally for the Fed and everything.
And that's in the intro to the book?
Yeah.
Okay, I'd love to read that.
And Larry stood up and says, "I'll tell you exactly the problem with it," and booed him off the stage.
Good for him.
Gosh, I'd love to see that.
Yep.
Is that on YouTube?
I don't know if there's video of it, but he tells the story in the book.
Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So yeah, I mean, are you guys following what's going on in like the global bond market or anything like that?
I'm not, but get us up to speed.
Well, I mean, the British 30-year gilt is blowing out. The long end of the Japanese bonds is. The carry trade is the spiral of the spiral has started.
The credit worthiness of nation states is in collapse.
That's right.
Of course.
They need Bitcoin.
This is why I don't follow this stuff so closely anymore, because it's always like, of course. Once you're like so far.
Yeah.
Nah, I should. That sounds a little bit arrogant, but like you hear of these things happening in the world, and people want to talk about it for hours. And I'm like, all I need to do is apply the lens of Bitcoin for 2 seconds. It's like, I know the whole fucking thing.
Yep.
Like, of course, the credit worthiness of the monopolies on coercion, compulsion, and violence are collapsing in the 21st century when Bitcoin is an option. No shit, Sherlock. Like, that's not much of a story to me. But anyways, I didn't mean to steal your thunder.
No, that's pretty much
we
it.
do this a lot.
Yeah.
We could sit here and bat it around forever.
We're terrible at headlines on the show.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah, we've tried it. We've tried to, I don't know, to talk about some of this stuff, and I suffer from the same problem. It's like I have I feel like it's a logical reason. It's not burying your head in the sand. It's not ignoring it. Like we're taking action, talking about Bitcoin, buying Bitcoin. It's like, I love what Booth says. It's like, you can't solve the problems of the existing system from the existing system. Mm-hmm. You yell at Clown World, you bitch about all these things, you're really strengthening it in some way. So I just kind of live over here, and it's blissful. Yep. You know, it's like I watch the news. I have to make sure actually on my X account, I'm paying attention to the feed of the people I'm following. I just don't want to get inundated with that garbage.
Mm-hmm. Totally agree. I know it's a trap, and it's addicting too, because the algorithm just feeds you sensational stuff. But personally, I love my life right now because my wife and I are able to do whatever we want to do. And I'm not saying because we have so many resources. We have enough that we can do what we want to do, and we enjoy the simple pleasures in life and doing them right. I can do what I want to do 24/7, 365. I'm doing what I want to do.
And that is reading a lot of Bitcoin, you told me.
And tweeting. You're in the trenches duking it out, dude. I've been watching your feed over the last year and a half, and I'm always like, oh, shit. Look at him go. Look at him go.
And some people don't like it. Yeah, and not to get back into that, but the way I feel about what's going on now, in a way, it's like, you know, that feeling that we can see, we totally get Bitcoin. And it's so frustrating when you talk to somebody and you think this person will be perfect. Like, they're technically literate, they're economically literate, like they're going to totally get it. And you talk to them, they don't get it at all. And they repeat the same old things. Yeah, Bitcoin, Satoshi's going to come back. Can't you just copy that? Like you could copy that, man. You could just copy Bitcoin. Like you get all those things. And
that one's hilarious. It's like, oh,
like
15 years we've been thinking about Bitcoin and no one suggested just copying it. People always think it's so brilliant. Like, oh, it's open source. You just copy it. You're like, oh, you're the genius. 8.5 billion people in 15 years and no one said that. You're the first
you
one.
put it on your computer. It's worth $2 trillion. What?
Oh, God. Like the kernel of the shitcoiner mind virus. Oh, that's funny.
And the other thing, like, wait a second, couldn't we just start the three of us could just start our own Bitcoin right now?
Yeah. Play in the quiet little corner of the playground by ourselves.
Yeah.
So is this core knots debate, like, would it be productive if like the argument was presented as more of like, hey, keep the arbitrary data off of the blockchain. Don't spam the blockchain. Should the argument be like, yo, hey, everybody, let's not fuck this up. Like, do whatever you want. We can do whatever we want as long as we don't fuck this up. As long as we don't lose decentralization, then whatever. But like, maybe we should take this a little slow. It's like Saylor. I love how Saylor said, I don't know if I said this in this conversation. I definitely was talking with another guest yesterday about it. Like Saylor, I think it was 2-3 years ago. He's like, just don't change it. Just don't change it. That's and right. I think that right there, I think embodies the don't mess this opportunity up. I think that's exactly what he's saying. Like, you can do whatever you want. This is a free world. We all believe in freedom. Like, you know, as long as you're not hurting somebody else. So who cares what goes on the blockchain as long as we don't mess this up? Mm-hmm. As long as we maintain the integrity, the monetary use case, the decentralization, I don't think anybody really cares. Right?
Yeah, and I agree to a point. And yes, absolutely, the solution is using it as money. And so the market will solve the problem. I agree. But I also agree accepting big changes to Bitcoin foisted upon us with no explanation, it solves no problem, brings nothing, it does not strengthen the case of money as Bitcoin, is a very, very slippery slope. That we just accept this and we run it. Then the message is going to be in 31, listen, we've done this too. That's what I think. So I'm seeing a lot of centralization of power and decision-making there, and we don't understand why.
So is anyone, who else is backing this other than Luke Dashjr in terms of software engineers?
Well, Luke Dashjr is opposed to it. He's opposed to increasing the op return limit.
So he's pro knots.
He wrote.
He's the main developer on
That's what I'm saying. So like, what other developers are behind him on this? Because that's one of the other criticisms. I didn't mention this earlier, but other people have this conspiracy theory that he's been compromised and he's trying to get Bitcoiners spooked onto this knots thing. So then the FBI can come and do whatever, attack on a less robust Bitcoin knots. I don't know. It's like it's spooking both sides, basically.
Yeah, so the guy who's saved Bitcoin multiple times.
Crowder was saying that, I think, in a video.
Thank you very much. If Crowder says it, probably look into it because it's probably true. How many times does this guy have to save Bitcoin? And so how is Luke Dashjr undermining Bitcoin in any way when all he'll tell you to do is run a node? And so I saw someone was asked, so the solution is knots? No, the solution is not knots at all. The solution is getting core right so we don't have to have knots. So there's no incentive whatsoever for him. The guy doesn't want any attention. Mm-hmm. You ever seen him on a show? He hates attention. He doesn't want to talk to anybody.
Clearly.
Yeah, he's not articulate in any way. He doesn't want attention, and that's pretty clear. So, like, how can the guy be undermining Bitcoin, or how can he be compromised when all he's telling you to do is decentralize mining? He's leading the front on that. I don't see how anybody could argue that.
I thought I saw, and this is all just hearsay for me at this point, because just seeing this, browsing Twitter without stopping to dwell on it, but I thought it may have been that account Wicked, the little tomato whatever guy.
Was it the FBI?
And he posted a thing about Dashjr, how Dashjr wears his phone in his pocket and he records all of his conversations with people at Bitcoin conferences, and he's been working for the FBI for all this time and blah, blah, blah. And like, I look at all this and I was like, these fucking people just,
Yeah.
I don't have that existential concern, so I don't get into it. But like, is any of that concerning to you? Like, do you think that you could possibly be buying into the PSYOP that's actually counter to what your goals are?
No, I think
Where do you get that? What evidence gives you the conviction in that belief?
that because all we're talking about doing is running nodes. That's all.
Just two different versions of the software.
Yeah.
And that idea that the FBI is behind Dashjr.
Absolutely preposterous.
Well,
Where's
it's
the
open
evidence?
source because there's other people are looking. But the argument from Core or people in support of Core against NOTs does stem around. This is one guy who's writing this protocol. You got a whole team of developers over here. You got one guy.
I would say it's 40 plus 1. So
Okay.
he's just taking Core and he's applying patches and filters to it. And there's a bug bounty on it right now. Dennis Porter has introduced that. So you can go review the code. If there was a problem with it, they've gone through it with a fine-tooth comb. But, Luke is, shall we say, an eccentric individual. So there's all these things you can say about him, that he has the phone and maybe his personal appearance and the lack of willingness to speak. He doesn't want to. He's not articulate at all. He's not a well-spoken guy. He's very, very technical. But Wicked is probably a nice guy. He does a lot of memeing and he's in a lot of spaces. He's been around a long time. He's done good stuff. I think he's well-intentioned as well. But if we're going to talk about compromise, maybe Wicked is compromised. We keep pointing the finger all around. Wicked has taken money from bad people. So
Does he just want attention? Like so I just came across Shinobi recently.
yeah, I would not
I've heard the name.
Yeah.
I've probably seen his profile in the past, but he caught my attention over the last week just because he's vitriolic. Like he's talking a lot of shit. And I don't know anything about this individual. And I was having a conversation with somebody. He seems that he wants the attention.
That's basically it. He talks shit to get attention. It's been my experience at least.
Yeah, Wicked is not in that category.
Okay.
Wicked has done good things. He's a nice guy. You can talk to him whenever you want. Other people that friends of mine don't like Wicked at all and maybe block Wicked, but he's in spaces and I don't think what he says a lot of times is true. And I think anyway, Shinobi is a whole other case. I mean,
Is he a core dev?
no,
Okay. What does he do? Is
he might have been a contributor, but no, he's not.
he part of Bitcoin Magazine?
Yes, he is part of the David Bailey Industrial Complex.
Oh.
So personally, I don't know what Shinobi's problems are. If I was just to look at his tweets, I see deep problems.
Sounds like a lot of Bitcoiners.
I'm sure he's probably said a lot of shit about you.
they all say
he's
shit
probably
about me.
canceled you and
Yeah, it's been canceled so many
all
times.
of your. Yeah, we almost had you canceled there for a minute, man.
Yeah, it seemed to be
Brought you back
seemed to be unstoppable.
Yeah, he's a whole other case. And in the last week, I mean, this guy is doing stuff like tagging Mechanic and his family. I mean, these are like the most wholesome people. That you guys should meet them, man. You and your
I had
wife
dinner
were-
with Mechanic
Okay,
in
great.
Portugal. Or no, in Madeira with Tomer.
Just with Tomer, I mean, the nicest people. And now Mechanic's wife, they I guess live in this valley in Canada, and she's going around and volunteering her time to orange pill all these businesses and set them up to accept Bitcoin and setting up this circular economy. I mean, she's on the ground with other people doing this stuff, and Shinobi tags her with some comment that Mechanic made about that we're opening up the floodgates to child porn by raising this from 80 to 100, and you should ask him questions about what he's been doing, basically insinuating that he's involved in this because he raised this alarm. Like,
Crowder got attacked for that recently. Like, oh, he spoke to this now. He must be into it.
What a joke.
Or he planted the ideas now we're going to deal with that.
Yeah.
I think Crowder was speaking about BSV had the same issue.
yeah,
So as soon as BSE goes live, BSV
you're advocating for BSV.
there's garbage on that chain.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think they're advocating for BSC. They're just saying that there's something in the wild that has this issue.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so you can look at it to infer some data.
That's
Correct.
what happened.
Yeah,
Yeah, but like these fucking losers, the Shinobis or whatever, I think they're the paid fucking trolls. They're just paid to talk shit
Literally
online.
paid.
And like, that's all they are. They hide behind anonymity. They're fucking losers, popping zits and eating pizza, as you always
Yeah.
say. Like, these guys are trash, right? Get that on camera. Let me look at the camera. Trash. You are trash, sir. All of you little scumbag weasel kids, like come out and do something in the world. Have some courage. Stand up and like speak and be a human and participate. You want to sit there and complain and tag people's wives that are actually out there doing something? Like you're not a man, dude. You're definitely not a man.
It's pathetic.
Even if you're male, you're not a man.
I know.
So what I want to ask earlier, so why are there not more software engineers following, what's his name?
Luke?
Yes. Why is he why is he standing out from all the software engineers? Why is there not more engineering following him to push for knots?
Yeah, that's happening now. So in knots 29 that was just released, there were 100 contributors. And again, Dennis Porter has I guess opened up some line of communication with core developers who want to basically switch sides and come work on knots. So there's a mass movement toward it. And
so engineers are moving towards knots.
Absolutely. They already have. Yeah. And they've come forward and said that. But again, I don't know. I've never met Luke. I don't know. But I think that also maybe he personally has not been real receptive to working along with other people. Maybe he doesn't see a need to do it. I'm not sure. I don't know. That's just what I would imagine to be the case.
Well, it seems like he got involved to solve a problem as opposed to he's part of this dev team that's getting funded, and you got OpenSats and all sorts of other people that have been funding core over the years.
Yes.
Luke is different than that. He's
Definitely.
like a computer savvy individual who's patching bugs, and because of this issue with op return has created knots.
And why
So
is
it's like he's doing it reluctantly because he needs to.
He doesn't want to. He needs to. Somebody needs to. What a shame. Somebody says there's only one guy involved. Well, what a damn shame. And why hasn't he gotten the OpenSats money or the Chain Code Labs or the Brink or HRF?
It sounds like that might be changing.
I believe it when I see it. Why are they not funding him?
So central bankers are notorious for funding both sides of big wars. Why not this one?
Interesting.
Good question. Yep.
So I see a lot of drama, a lot of politicking, a lot of harsh language, but I think in the end of the day, the incentives are just going to win out.
I do too.
And so, I feel like I'm still convicted in my position of just sit it out. Let the war rage.
Yeah. Why don't you think about that possibility with so much of your net worth in Bitcoin that you're willing to lose a little bit to mine Bitcoin and see what that teaches you about it and the network. And it's actually fun, man. And you can really get started for $250. And the power of these little devices is just going higher and higher. It's easy to set up, super easy. Takes very little electricity.
BitX.
Yep, a BitX, or now there's the Canaan products and the Future Bit, and then these other guys are doing things where they're taking old S19s and I saw this in Prague where they're harvesting the heat from these things for central heat and air. I mean, the heat exchangers using it for air conditioning as well. So. Really neat stuff, and probably at some point we're all going to need to do that.
Yeah, we had some of these guys on the show. I don't want to say the name of the company because I don't know that I have it exactly right, but they had a very strong vision that we're moving toward a world of decentralized mining, where every smart device in your home is mining Bitcoin when it's not in use, something to that effect, and so. That seems useful in all of this situation.
Yep.
Because you'd have a lot more Bitcoin mining occurring outside of centralized data centers.
Yeah, and I've heard opponents of the lottery mining, shall we say, of the BitX. And listen, it's gotten a little bit of a deservedly bad rep because initially there was a whole sensational marketing campaign that you could take this $250 device and turn it into $300,000 when you get a block reward, which is true. It'd take 1,500 years. It's already happened actually once.
Yeah, didn't somebody running a BitX or in the last
Early
year
on.
or something?
I think it was right before, happened like right before the last Bitcoin conference in Nashville, that a guy running a BitAxe got a block. So listen, there's been opponents to it who hate that, and they say, buy sats. Why would you buy this? You're just throwing money away. Buy sats. But doesn't it become a no-brainer when you can buy a device, or a Bitcoiner can come into your house and set up a device that's super quiet and turns electricity into sats at no cost? It's zero.
Definitely better than the state lottery.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're going to, don't play the state lottery, buy one of these BitAxes or whatever.
Yeah, so basically every 10 minutes, every block, you're printing a lottery ticket on Bitcoin for a little bit of electricity. And you're providing decentralization of the network. And what I've seen happen over and over again is guys buy one, and then they, as the technology is getting better, maybe they buy another one. You got to be careful. You can go crazy. I've seen guys have 50 of them. It's like, just buy a miner or rent one. But I think everybody should have one. And true solo mining using Datum and potentially being one to build a block, the spam-free block, and decentralized mining. To me, it's kind of a no-brainer.
If you're a Bitcoiner, you need the Orange Pill app. It's where you can connect with other sovereign individuals locally and globally. It's great for when you travel, to meet local Bitcoiners, to go to Bitcoin meetups, and to find local merchants that accept sats. No distractions, no noise, just real Bitcoiners. So download the Orange Pill app today and find your local Bitcoin tribe. So I'll read one of your tweets here, if that's okay. You're retweeting Saifedean, and you said, Safe is right. Core ideology reeks of effective altruism. Broaden access, welcome anything that signals inclusion, treat policy as censorship. No definitions, no right or wrong, good or bad. Forcefully reject these clever lies. Bitcoin is money. That is its only purpose.
That's a Saifedean tweet.
Well, he's retweeting Saifedean.
That was my comment.
That's your commentary.
Tweet.
And so what is his position on this?
Well, do you see the tweet there?
Yeah. He says, no, Bitcoin is permissionless, which means you can't define it as you want. You are obliged to define it and use it according to the definition of scammer, spammer, trash, abusing it to scam retarded JPEGing morons.
Yep. Obviously, he's being sarcastic there.
So where does he stand on this issue? And what does your tweet mean?
Well, I can't speak for him on this issue because I haven't seen, but what he's talking about here is a bastardization of these terms of, specifically, what was he talking about there? Permissionless?
Permissionlessness.
Yeah, right. That's when we operate a node and we verify and send monetary transactions without permission from anyone, peer-to-peer. Permissionless does not mean that ordinals guys are spamming Bitcoin, and so Bitcoin is for everybody and it's permissionless, so leave them alone. You're trying to censor them. It's not what it means at all. Censorship resistance is because we are able to easily run a node and interact with a network without anyone
without asking permission,
or anyone censoring our use of the money of our money. So yeah, this whole narrative also I've seen.
But that's the same symmetrical argument they would make, the ones making the JPEGs and stuff on Bitcoin.
Right. But I come back to my two principles or laws of why I can't accept it. I don't care that you say that it's technically valid. It's not valid because it's not a monetary transaction. Bitcoin is money. Bitcoin will be used as money. So they can do that. And we've already seen that the people who front loaded that, Udi and Eric Rice and Casey Rottermore and these scumbags who ripped a bunch of people off and said we should be making Bitcoin fun again. They made a bunch of money. Everybody who bought that shit has nothing now. So that permissionless is not an excuse for bad behavior.
What, they dumped JPEGs on people?
Yeah, the ordinals, the inscriptions, the ordinal theory that they're teaching and the rare sats. Man, these guys came in and scammed a bunch of money on Bitcoin is what it was. They literally declared war on Bitcoin and said, we will win. And Udi said, we will keep buying people off until we win. Literal open adversary hatred of Bitcoin.
And so this is where the things have become confusing because now you have shitcoining occurring on Bitcoin.
Yep.
And so people are trying to delineate what's what.
Yep. Again, I believe just like you do that ultimately the market will win out. But meantime, I'm going to do something about it, at least for myself.
Yeah. So that's what it is. It comes down to the market test that has to be applied, but it has to be applied through node consensus.
Yep.
And so that's where we're at.
Yep. And they were rejected. Ordinals people were rejected. So now I believe that the next thing is in 2014, we rejected, core devs rejected. They were very adversarial toward Ethereum style smart contracts. They're not anymore. They're going to bring it. And we'll see what happens. Again, I've heard the argument on both sides of it, the CTV guys, and it sounds like some pretty neat stuff on the surface. It's not changing the base layer of Bitcoin. But I'm going to stick to my two rules, man, that it's money and it must be used as money.
But some people consider a JPEG of a monkey to be money. Like
Well,
people
they're wrong.
consider the Mona Lisa as money.
Yeah.
That's where we're back to the beginning of the conversation. It's a market test.
Yeah.
It's like you can think microphones are money. Okay, that's great. Cool belief. Go test it in the market.
Yep.
We'll see what wins, basically.
Yeah.
So you have to go through that market test for this thing to get sorted out. Starts as an opinion, but it ends as a point of
Whatever market
consensus.
decides.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, and I think for what it's worth, listen, we all spend a lot of time on social media, and we get kind of the social consensus that's going on, and I resent that you're not really allowed to say these opinions like Bitcoin is money without getting shouted down from this liberal woke mind virus. I think we ought to be able to say it, and I think it ought to be cool again. And
Well, it seems like most of the Bitcoin community is on that page. Like, I mean, most people I know are like tweeting all the time, run knots, run knots. I mean, we get comments on the channel, run knots. Hey,
That's right.
what up? Good episode. I'm running knots.
that's why I have faith in the plebs, man. Look, just go, and I think I tweeted it right before I came in here, but it's shocking or maybe I just said it, I can't remember. If you look at the release notes for Core 29 and say there's 100 comments there, 99 of those comments are not running it. Like, you guys are lost. I'm not doing it. I'm running knots. So a lot of the plebs are coming to this and they don't understand. Op return. What are you talking about, man? Like, are you trying to say Bitcoin is dying and all that? And, some of the messaging has been wrong that this is the end of Bitcoin. I wouldn't be sitting here if I believed that. I would just sell my Bitcoin and go read my books. I don't believe it for a second. But I have faith in the plebs, man, because when you do, you just sit down and you answer some questions. People are like, you see light bulbs going off and aha moments like, really? That's what it's about? Oh, man, I wish I had known that sooner. I just feel it's unfortunate that a lot of people have come to this and maybe they don't like me. Like, who is this guy, man? Like, he's going to suddenly tell us that Bitcoin is money and he's going to fix Bitcoin. I get that. Some of the individuals, we've been abrasive, we've been loud. Maybe we come off as condescending and arrogant. And so the messaging hasn't been good. And so people have just said, I'm staying with core, man. I don't understand any of that stuff. Who is this guy? Like, I think that's been unfortunate. But when you can sit down and tell someone what's happening, why this is a slippery slope and why this is dangerous, why we're on a road of death by 1,000 cuts, people get it. 99% get it. That's what I've seen.
So the 80% of the network that's running core, you think there's people that are just generally unaware, maybe non-English speaking places? Like, is this debate, how big is this debate? Is this a global debate? Like, I struggle to understand exactly what's going on. How is it, if this is so contentious, as far as I can tell from the people that I know that are distributed globally, all in support of knots, why do we only have 20% adoption at this point?
Software people move really, really slow. And So that's why the whole argument of, listen, just don't run core then, that holds no water. That's not a solution at all. So that's going to move very, very slowly. You've got all these versions of core that's been around since 0.1, whenever 0.1 was released. I forget when somewhere around January 3rd, later. 16 years of core running, and you have there's maybe one or two others. One other major implementation is just going to take time. A lot of those are people who are running it on a computer. It runs whenever their computer runs. They have a device. They're not going to go to the trouble of updating that soon. However, again, if you look, it's pretty interesting. I think I tweeted it, but if you look from 17 on, that NOTS adoption is flatline, and then it just goes parabolic in the last month or two.
Did Luke code NOTS in 17?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure. Seems like I knew this, and I can't remember when he did. For a long time, there was like 18, 20 nodes running. So,
interesting.
Again, man, I'm not pushing anything like NOTS. Like, I've never met any of those guys. I have no economic incentive whatsoever to say any of this stuff. I'm just an interested party. And what I think gave a lot of credibility is I heard Mechanic on a space, and they tried to say, so what you're saying is the solution to this is run your software. And he says, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying run a node. Run any node. That's all we want you to do. And what a damn shame, again, that we've got to push people off on this nebulous implementation when everybody should be able to run core, the latest version of core. Everybody should just be able to update to the latest version of core. And their answer is, you don't like our software, don't run it. What kind of solution is that?
But isn't that the same thing as saying you just run NOTS?
To not update?
Well, to say don't run core. If they're making decisions you don't like, run something else. Mm-hmm. Isn't that saying the same thing as run NOTS?
I'm not sure I get you.
Fuck it. Okay, so I think I agree with you on one thing, which is you said you have faith in the plebs, which I just verbalize as I have faith in free markets, individual incentives, market dynamics, et cetera. That's where I've been on this whole thing since before this conversation. It's where I think I'm still at now. I don't know if there's anything else. I don't know. You got anything else? I
don't know. We've talked about it for several months since I've been here. The thing that I thought was interesting is the CP. Yeah. That kind of got me concerned.
Sorry,
we
talked about it. CP anyway.
I don't think we get censored from it, but I brought that up and shared that thought with you, and you seem to be in the same position, and I don't disagree. I guess I'm just a little scared on it personally. Mm-hmm. Like, if that's a case, do we have nation state level pushback?
But we played that one out, and it's like it would still end up with, okay, if then NOTS is the thing. The NOTS would be the thing, and would be on NOTS, and
still
that would
be
be
on
that.
the blockchain, though. And also, here's where it changes: is going.
You're saying at that moment in time where it could be on there, it would be on there forever, even if Bitcoin became Bitcoin NOTS.
Yes.
Yeah, immutable ledger.
Mm-hmm. But then Bitcoin's still decentralized, so it doesn't matter. The CP's on there, the government can't do anything about it anyways.
Mm.
Yeah, but if there's a steady stream of classified information, then, and you're in the UK, the government comes along and says, first of all, you're committing a crime. Stop doing that. And maybe at the same time sweetens the deal, like, look, you guys have invested. We understand. We're going to give you a bunch of money. We're going to give you more than the market value of your money, of your Bitcoin. And people are like, shh, like, go to jail or get a bunch of money. Here's my Bitcoin.
Seems like a bigger concern than the block size wars. This is the potential for a nation state level attack. The block size war is, okay, do we not?
Still wouldn't compromise decentralization. Even if they did that door to door, soft 6102, let us buy your Bitcoin with our CBDC shitcoin, you still didn't compromise decentralization in doing that. So it doesn't matter what's on Bitcoin's blockchain. It's still decentralized. It's still censorship resistant. Nation states can't stop it. So what's the loss?
Yeah, I haven't.
You shake out some weaker hands.
My feeling is, as far as decentralization, is it's just an attack on nodes. Mm-hmm. But no, you're not going to destroy Bitcoin. It's in space, right? I mean, it's from what Saylor said, it's in space. So even if if a nuclear meltdown of Earth, it's still up in space. So I'm not concerned about that. But the attack vector here is obvious and significant. What I'm curious about, I'd love to ask you, and I wanted to come to you guys because you're smart and this is a really good. You two are perfect to ask after you kind of hear this case, and there's no right or wrong answer. Do you at all feel motivated? I'm not challenging you, to do anything like what I've talked about that you haven't been doing. Do you think that there's any motivation to change, either run node software or don't upgrade to 30, run not, start maybe mining or supporting other things? Or
I've been running knots for quite some time, just because I feel like the inscriptions is kind of like graffiti on this humanity's masterpiece. So I'm adverse to that. And so that's my vote to the network. We're having this conversation. I've asked a couple other guests that are Lightning developers what their thoughts are on it. I had a call with Matt Cratter last week about it. I sent him a text message and he called me and I was like, hey, watching your videos, how concerned are you? Let's play this out a little bit.
Yeah, he's very concerned.
Brought it up with this guy a few times, deep thinker over here. Hey, what do you think about this? And I'm concerned, but I just have it's just a feeling that it'll be okay. But it doesn't. But I'm vigilant. I'm prepared to execute in whatever way I need to protect myself. And I think most people in Bitcoin are doing the same thing.
Yeah, it seems like if you get very zoomed in on this, there's a lot to debate and think about and all the above. But then zooming out, I don't feel like it's changed a lot. So as more of a zoom out guy, I'm not that worried about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would like to hear the other side argued from, we haven't had that on the show yet. Someone sitting here arguing if there's even that person. I don't know if they exist. Sounds like maybe not.
I'm sure they're out there.
Yeah.
Well, they seem to be a little less zealous about this, right? Core is kind of just well, fuck off. We've got the network effect. You do what we do, or
that's exactly
or you
what
can
it
fuck
is.
off.
Yeah. The overwhelming sentiment is.
Whereas Knots people are more like yourself.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. The answer from them is, we're not going to explain it to you for two reasons. First of all, I don't work for you.
Yeah.
I don't owe you anything. And anyway, Robert, you're not technical enough to understand. See, I'm up here, and you're not. So, not answering your questions. Don't run our software if you don't like it. Again, what sort of solution is that? You're tasked with, you've taken upon the responsibility, you volunteered to be a steward of this, and you're making these decisions and telling us basically fuck off. So you've got Matt Cratter, you've got Canute. Canute is sat here, right?
Yep.
You've got Tomer. I mean, we're talking about the most unassuming, selfless individuals maybe in Bitcoin. And a whole lot of others. Jeff Booth, what is Jeff Booth running? Is Jeff Booth going to upgrade to Core 30? Another deep thinker, a guy who believes that Bitcoin will win. Look, if we put a whole list of people we respect in Bitcoin, they're all either solidly opposed to this change and kind of the path that Core has got us on. And to me, listen, man, I love Canute and you guys and Tomer, and that don't trust, verify, absolutely, and slay your heroes. But at the same time, if you get all of these personalities together and there's a kind of a consensus that one way or another, those guys are probably right.
I lean that way and think about that. Who's the most composed person who's in support of Core?
I would have to think about that, but kind of the face of this has been the French guy, Antoine. And I will give Antoine credit because he has suffered a lot of personal insults, and I took part in that, and I feel bad about that. It was absolutely wrong. And that's a lesson I've learned in this is that, and I think you've spoken about this, but there is a person behind that anonymous username. So whenever
Well, it was a guy that just called someone trash earlier, but I agree
Well, he called you trash too and tried to cancel you over your.
Oh, they called me everything under the sun,
Yeah,
and
right.
that's why it's a weird. We talk about this all the time. It's like you can take the high road and just be the like platonic, moral philosopher, intellectual guy, but 0.1% of people are going to interact with that. 99.99% of people want some political turmoil. You know, call the XRP army retarded. Then all of a sudden you're getting 10,000 likes on your tweet. Yeah. And so I'm just always like, which one of these polls do I want to go towards today?
Well, what I absolutely love was Peter McCormick. When we were about to cancel you, Peter McCormick goes, man, isn't this rich? We've got a bunch of 40-year-old virgins attacking Robert Breedlove because he's got a hot girlfriend. Like, have we got nothing better to do than cancel Robert Breedlove right now? You guys are pathetic.
Yeah, well, you know what? And there must be two different things here, because if Bitcoiners are good at don't trust verify, they're not good at it with social rumors that don't apply to them. Because that was a great example of that. This was not my girlfriend. I did not leave my wife.
Yeah, like everything was wrong about it.
She is my wife, not my girlfriend.
We don't want to hear any of that, man.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But it's your issue earlier where you're saying you had all this stuff happen to you, and then when you were vindicated 6 months later, like everyone says, oh, we were with you the whole time, bro.
You saw it too, I'm sure.
But the turmoil's already passed. So there's something about social media that brings out the worst in humans, basically. And you'll see this storm get kicked up. People will say all kinds of shit, and then 3 months later, they act like it never happened.
Yep.
And the other thing is like the in-person interactions, which maybe this is because I'm a big fucking dude that is a little bit intimidating.
Do they?
I've had 0 negative interactions with Bitcoiners in person. 0 in 10 years. I'm not exaggerating. Actually 0, like literally goose egg. But I've had hundreds of thousands, it feels like, on Twitter.
Yep. I've crossed into that, and I tweeted about this recently. I'm nobody and I want no attention. Like I have massive imposter syndrome, and I told you this in Prague, like meeting all you guys. I'm not here to get a name for myself. The only reason I'm not anonymous is because at some point I'm probably going to write a book, and that was a mistake as well. Like I want absolutely no attention in the kind of sensational posts and all that. I don't even want that. But somehow I've even achieved this point where, and you're a nice guy, you probably won't get it, but where I've got people making fun of my physical appearance and saying they want to fight me at the next conference.
There's proof of punch in real life.
That's right.
That changes all the civility of interactions.
Was that individual anonymous?
He's an anon.
I struggle. I both respect the people who want to stay anonymous, but at the same time, I kind of struggle with it a little bit.
Yep.
I suppose there's a few individuals that I could think of specifically that live in areas where they're concerned that if they spoke out or they weren't anonymous, that they would have some sort of, I don't know, seizure, arrests. Maybe they were doing sketchy things or whatever. So I kind of get that, but at the same time, it's like if this is a fight for freedom, fucking stand up and speak up.
Yeah.
You know?
I think it exacerbates the social media issue, where it brings out the worst in people, but it's going to be even worse if you're an anon. You know?
Definitely.
Because then you're truly the keyboard warrior at that point.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
You're just words. You're not a human.
It's got to be so
There's no
frustrating.
empathy. Like you've completely severed yourself from personhood, basically, in your digital avatar.
Yep.
And yeah, those people have been some of the just most awful people I've seen online.
I wonder how many of those people, when you were at conferences, were standing around the edges looking, thinking, I'd like to go up and say something, but I better not.
I have no idea.
But they'll tell you anything on social media, but don't have the courage when it's man to man to come up and say anything.
As so far as I could tell, I mean, I've been told everything under the sun on social media, and zero, like not even a cross eye. Like I've had people apologize to me a lot because I'm like, oh, I said something mean about you when you were getting canceled, and I was caught up in the storm, and I tweeted a thing, and I feel bad. But I've had no one say like, yeah, I tweeted it and I meant it and fuck you. Like zero.
I wonder if any of that happens. Do you, man, I've got 3 people who I would like to physically confront, to be honest with you. I hate them so bad, like bad actors in Bitcoin. But
so it's back to this thing. Like I want to take the high road, actually. Like I enjoy living life on the high road. This feels good to me. It feels correct. But then I, like all humans, am imitative. I'm mimetic. And when I get drawn into this, everyone's wanting to be political and fight and talk shit all the time. I'm like, oh, well, you know what? We're going to do that. We're going to play that game. Well, the XRP army is a bunch of fucking retards, you know, like just completely go the other direction. But for purposes of propagating the message, right? Because the XRP army is a bunch of fucking bots and retards, right?
Well,
You're
a
either
bunch of innocent dummies that don't know.
yeah, you're either a bot or you're a victim of the psyop. Well, that's what I'm saying. The innocent victims are retarded. I'm sorry, you are. You are retarding your own financial growth. You're retarding your own intellectual growth. You're retarding the growth of everything. Your family, your bloodline.
When you put it like that, yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to be an ableist here, where I was like, oh, but it's bad. It's really, really bad. It's like being a U.S. dollar maximalist, It's like, or possibly worse. But, so, anyways, these two buoys I'm always trying to sail between. I find myself drifting a lot, but I prefer to go over here. Like in life, I try to live over here.
Me too. That's why I grew weed for 16 years.
Yeah.
Stay high up here.
Then enough people talk shit about you for enough, and you're like, you know what? Well, let's just get in the arena for a minute. But you're not supposed to wrestle the pig because the pig likes it and you get dirty.
Yeah,
Shit.
your problem is you're young and big and ripped. So like, who are they going to stick up against you? Like, I'm a little bit older now, so.
Well, I'm not that young. I'm almost 40. And my fighting days of hope are behind me. But
yeah, I don't want to fight anybody, man. Like, honestly, I want to be able to go to these shows and hang out. But man, you get these weirdos like focus on you and they're just like obsessed. Like, bro, I am nobody. This is just words. Like, I'm not important. Stop pretending like I'm important. I'm not. You want to come to a show just to fight me?
Bitcoin is a high road, but it's also showing us how far we have to go to get on that high road, Like, we are living in fiat culture still today. And, I say this as someone who loved hip hop music growing up and was into, drinking and fighting and all of this stuff. And it's like, what was wrong? Why? Like, obviously, if you're a young man for some period of time and the testosterone's raging, there's maybe some normalcy to that. But like, the degree to which we took it was too far.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want to see my kids grow up like that. So I don't know. It's an interesting mirror it holds up to people. And it's like, it will show you the high road and then you either start marching that way, or I think it's going to show you your faults basically in interactions with others and whatnot. So
I know. Yeah. Tomer talks about that a lot. Like, here you are, you're looking into Bitcoin right here.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, man.
You don't change Bitcoin. Bitcoin changes you if you let it.
I know. And the more you learn, like, I think that's why we all have a little bit of imposter syndrome, because the more you learn, the more you realize what you don't know.
Yeah.
And there's all of these different avenues you can go down. Right now, I'm starting on like economic history and some of these economists. And again, I see so many parallels of Keynesian versus Austrian economic theory with core as well, and people who are pushing for these changes, short-term gains at the expense of the future.
Yeah, I think the rabbit hole that it really put me on that explains a lot of this is mimetic desire, Rene Girard, mimetic rivalry. Like, we're all social nodes imitating one another. Even the things we type about and the way we describe Bitcoin, the metaphors, the analogies, they all get recycled, remixed. And people are always struggling with attribution. Like, oh, well, who said that? Who said you get Bitcoin at the price you deserve? Like, I said it. No, I said it. No, I said it. And like, it's just a bunch of these nodes imitating one another and arguing amongst themselves. And so there's this process of humility that you described. Yeah. It's like, you're not all that, whoever you are. Like, you're just one neuron on the global brain for one little instant of history. And
man, if you just take your show, all these personalities and what these people's interests and all that, Dr. Jack, I mean, that show was unreal. Yeah. And where you can take these things. And it's interesting that so often people's understanding and insight of other things increases when they understand Bitcoin.
Yes.
And so I'm trying to take that, as well. Like, how many people actually understand Bitcoin? Less than 1%, way less, because way less than 1% owns it. So we're privileged with knowing and getting Bitcoin to whatever degree we do. And we can apply that to AI and other things that are inevitable, and the global bond market and, derivatives and all that stuff, and try to mine as much fiat as we can. That's what I'm trying to do.
I heard someone say the Bitcoin rabbit hole is bottomless, and I think that's why you gain so much understanding with Bitcoin, because ultimately it cannot be understood. Because to understand Bitcoin is to understand ourselves, and we're just infinitely complex. And so, what a trip!
Yeah,
well,
definitely.
This has been fun.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. I can't believe I'm sitting here, to be honest with you. So.
Yeah, you know what's funny? He sent me a message. I was lining up some guests for the show, and I had already been in contact with you. And I think we had locked in a date. I was about to send you the calendar invite, and he sends me a screenshot of one of your tweets and is like, "Hey, we should get this guy on the show."
Really?
I was like, "I know. Actually, I put him on the calendar a few hours ago." Or
I thought you were gonna say, you're bringing this guy on?
No, it was funny. It was good timing. He's like, I forget the tweet, but
yeah. And there are so many guests you can have, man. They're like way below the radar who aren't saying that much. There's so many, man, reply guys who say profound things, and you find out they've been around since 2010 and got this massive stack, and they can do whatever they want to all the time, and their perspective is so wide, and just getting them to come out and talk. That's why I feel like imposter syndrome. Like, why am I talking to you guys? You know, like
I feel the same way. I'm like fucking just a random dude. I'm happy to be here.
That's that process of humility, though. So when you say that, I'll just hear it's like, you're coming into the recognition of yourself being a much smaller part of a much bigger thing.
Yep.
And so that's that's a feature of Bitcoin. I would like to think.
I think you're right.
So
yeah, you need to do more of the walking and talking videos, man. I remember the first one I saw. You come walking in there with all those plants, a hat, the glass. You should get the glasses back too.
I do. Like I still have the glasses. I threw them on during a live stream like a week or two ago. Yeah.
I remember the very first one, and you were like,
it's like a 4 gram joint. Yeah.
Like filled up that much of the screen, and you started talking, and my first impression was, who is this guy? And then about 2 minutes in, I'm like, keep talking. Like, this is good stuff. Yeah, and you were taking booth and like putting your own spin on it.
Yeah, I became obsessed, you know. Well, and I was running around talking about this stuff, yelling at the same 20 people basically for like many, many years. And I was like, oh, fuck, I guess I got to just turn the camera on and record this. You know, if I was on Twitter and I knew how gnarly Bitcoin Twitter could be, I probably would not have done it. But I fired up a Twitter account in like 2013, never used it. And so it was like, all right, I'll post this stuff on Twitter. I had no idea what I was getting involved in. No clue.
Same here.
So it's, you know, in that sense, I was fortunate.
Yeah. It's a weird one, right?
Yeah.
Just start tweeting stuff, and the next thing you know,
really?
How did I get into this situation? But, any parting words of wisdom? If not, please let people know where they can find you on the internet.
Yeah. I think Bitcoin is money, and I'm proud to say that, and I'm not apologizing. I think Bitcoin will be used as money. And so going to be interesting to see where things go. So we'll be watching out. Meantime, I'm going to be doing things every single hour of every day. I own more Bitcoin than I did the hour before. So actually almost exactly right now at 57 of the hour, we're at 58. I bought more Bitcoin an hour ago. A minute ago. Not much, but a little bit. And that hourly DCA has taught me a lot. Like I look at that amount, it goes up and down. Unfortunately, it's been going down a little bit that I'm getting per hour. But it's taught me to value like every sat. And I know we're winding down, but also like some people say I have enough Bitcoin because I look at the fiat balance of it and it's like, can't believe all the zeros. But what I'm trying to do right now is control as many sats as I can for the future and for other people, because my family doesn't get it and they don't understand the melting ice cube. So I believe that the sats are going to be powerful. And if you look at the halving schedules coming up and what institutions and governments are doing right now is hoovering up all the Bitcoin. I'm going to get what I can while I can. So buying more Bitcoin, running a node, trying to teach other people, and trying to get smarter. And what else can we do? You know? So yeah, I'm on X as 1914 AD. And that's kind of I believe that was a real turning point in history, and that's a whole other thing. My interest is in history and human accomplishment. And I feel like that was pretty much the pinnacle, but that's a whole other show. Yeah.
1914 AD,
Yep.
the year after the Fed.
Yep.
Is it related to that or no?
Well, I mean, you could say it is. World War I broke out in October. And how could we possibly fund a forever war, a global war without?
Definitely.
Yeah, run out of money in a couple of days. So if you look at human achievement, man, since 1914, everything has been pretty much, this is not my ideas, it's other people, has just been refining what it was already figured out.
Not the 0 to 1, all the 1 to many.
Not all of that, but
Yeah.
So history is fascinating. If I could, if it was as simple as just me and not having my family and loved ones, I would step back into history in a split second. I would go back to probably Victorian England. If you could be young and affluent, healthy back at that time, it'd be a fabulous life. Absolutely was. So I think it would have been a better time to be alive. But here we are, and here's Bitcoin. So
I feel pretty excited to be alive during Bitcoin's monetization.
absolutely.
Me
in a
too.
species.
Getting to watch this thing is a special opportunity. Yeah.
We got a front row seat, and we understand more than most people do. So
Let's not fuck it up, right?
that's right. Yep.
All right. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, man.
We lock our doors, we encrypt our hard drives, and we use strong passwords. But most people leave one thing wide open: their phone line. SIM swap attacks are one of the fastest growing methods of digital theft. In minutes, a hacker can clone your accounts, reset your passwords, and drain your life. Unfortunately, this is not science fiction. It happens every single day. Efani is the only mobile service protection designed exclusively to protect you from SIM swap attacks. Efani offers military-grade encryption on their product and offers up to $5 million of SIM swap insurance. And to date, there have been exactly 0 SIM swaps on any of Efani's over 50,000 protected accounts. So you don't need to live in fear, you just need to protect your weakest link. Go to efani.com/breedlove to secure your phone line today. Again, that's Efani, EFANI.com/breedlove. For the past 25 years, I've been reading roughly 1 book per week. Almost entirely difficult nonfiction books, the kind that really shift your thinking. Books on physics, money, power, psychology, spirituality, and philosophy. The real stuff. But I get it. Most people don't have time to read 50 books per year. So I hand-selected my favorite nonfiction books and distilled each one of them into a course that you can take in 50 to 100 times faster than it would take you to read the entire book. Each course gives you the key insights, mental models, and frameworks that matter. We launched with 15 book courses, and we are building toward a library of 100 by the end of year 1. So if you are a seeker of truth, wisdom, and personal growth, then my book course is for you. To sign up, go to course.breedlove.io. Again, that's course.breedlove.io. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, click here to find more just like it, and here to find our most recent episode. Also, make sure to like this video to help shine light on the corruption of money. And be sure to subscribe to this channel to stay connected.